Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on April 7th, 2013. That was a Sunday. This is episode 968. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Stamps.com. Use Stamps.com to buy and print real U.S. postage the instant you need it, right from your desk. For our special offer, go to Stamps.com now. Click on the microphone and enter Tech Guy. At Stamps.com, use the offer code Tech Guy. And by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPad or Samsung Galaxy or other smartphone's worth at Gazelle.com. And by Hover.com. Hover is the reliable domain name registration and management service that's simple, honest, and easy to use. For exceptional customer support and 10% off your new domain name, go to hover.com/techguy or use the offer code TechGuy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And, every week we get together like this and sit around and talk about computers and the internet and what a pain in the butt it all is. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about smartphones. Maybe we'll talk a lot about smartphones. That's always a great topic for discussion. Perhaps home theater will come up, digital photography, that kind of thing. Anything with a chip in it, that's what we talk about here on the show. The phone number, if you want to call in, and it's really, for me to talk nonstop for 3 hours, I could do it. I have done it, but it'd be better if you called. So 88, much more interesting for everybody. 80, including me, 8888, Ask Leo is the number. That's toll-free from anywhere in the U.S., since we are all over the country now. 200 markets, I think. And, of course, XM satellite, channel 166, which means we're all over the universe. We're beaming out to aliens. The phone number is +1, if you're outside the U.S., 888-827-5536. It's easy to remember. We have a mnemonic. 8888 Ask Leo. See how easy? Couldn't be easier. Just remember that. Make a note of it. Someday you may need it. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the fun. I didn't used to want to talk about smartphones, cell phones, I guess. I thought I don't want to be that guy, the gadget guy. The gadget. See, gadget, even the name gadget implies something kind of, I don't know, cheap and, throwaway, disposable gadget. It's just a gadget, And of course, that's what, whenever I would do speeches or do mainstream television, like, Live with Regis and Kelly, which I started doing in 2001, they wanted the gadgets, They don't want we don't really, it's too abstract to talk about computer technology or the internet especially, or software. That's too abstract. They want to see something with bells and whistles and lights and stuff like that. And I always kind of resisted that. Then in 2007, Apple's kind of reinvented the gadget with the iPhone. And then again in 2010, they came out with the iPad. And suddenly mobile computing was the big place, the spot where the sweet spot where the most interesting stuff was happening. In fact, nowadays it almost feels old-fashioned if I say this show's about computers and the internet. It's like, what's that? Oh, yeah, Dad has that thing on his desk, that thing called a computer. Oh, boy. You got to figure it's kind of, they're kind of on their way out, aren't they? It's all tablets. It's all mobile, portable stuff. And if you think about it, gosh, I'm looking at the specs for the next generation of smartphones, phones like the HTC One, which will be out in about 10 days. The Samsung Galaxy S4, which will be out about the end of the month. The Lumia 928 from Nokia, rumored to be out soon. iPhone 5S will probably come out. And you look at the specs for these things, and they are, boy, they're computers. I mean, we don't call them computers, but they are. This is a This is a supercomputer in your pocket, really quad-core 1.6 to 1.9 gigahertz processors. I mean, it's, graphics processing power enough to run a pretty high quality game. It really is. So I don't feel like we're talking about gadgets anymore. Well, a little bit. A little bit gizmos and gadgets. But really, this is where technology is taking us. This is where technology is taking us. And it's very, I think, exciting and interesting. So I don't mind. I'll talk about gadgets. Okay, yeah, occasionally, I still, when I do, I haven't done live with Kelly. I guess it's Kelly and Michael now, but I haven't done that since it was Kelly and Michael. It's been about a year. And yeah, we still have the self-raising toilet seats and the untangling garden hose, things like that. Yes, they want that, but I like to talk about stuff with a chip in it, mostly because I want to talk about things that are changing the world. And I don't mean, in any grandiose fashion. I'm not talking about vaccines for Africa. That's Bill Gates' thing, and certainly making a big difference. But I'm talking more about that. The computer on your desk, the internet, apps, smartphones. These things are really, in all sorts of ways, changing how we think, how we work. I saw a great quote from Isaac Asimov on my Google Plus feed today. I thought it was quite right on. He was talking about education. And, of course, he must have said this many moons ago, before there was widespread access to the internet. The science fiction author Isaac Asimov, he talked about once everybody can have access to information, once you can just look up a fact anywhere, he said, then schools will change. You'll still need a school. It used to be, he said, in the old days, they thought not everyone can learn to read and write, only the special few. Is it worth teaching? And then we had kind of the advent of universal education here in the U.S. and around the world. And all of a sudden, we learned, hey, pretty much everybody can learn to read and write. Everybody can. So maybe everybody should learn to read and write. And then once everybody learned to read and write, well, it was just, a question of what's next? Can everybody be an Einstein? Well, everybody has access to information. He said, now the schools aren't so important as a place to teach you everything. He said, when you didn't have widespread access to facts and information, well, it made sense to kind of uniformly teach everybody the history of the U.S., the history of the world, basic facts. Now he said someday, he didn't know what was going to happen so soon, I think. He said someday, when everybody has a device that will access the world's information, then people can learn the basics, go to school, learn how to read and write, how to access that information, and then let them guide their own education because they have access to everything. And it's true now. If you think about sites, it started with Khan Academy, where you could, have you been there? KhanAcademy.com. Khan Academy, just one guy, started in 2006 by Salman Khan. He's just wanted to provide, he said, high-quality education for anyone, anywhere. It's free, it's online, and you can learn about pretty much everything on Khan Academy. And then sites like Coursera, Coursera.com, and Udacity.com. Coursera is amazing. The world's best courses online for free. 335 courses from 62 different universities. There are 3 million plus people taking college-level courses for free on the internet at Coursera. And there's Udacity, Udacity, same thing. In fact, this is one of the most rapidly growing areas on the internet. Higher education online. Khan Academy, good place to start for high school kids or kids who are smart enough to be taking high school courses, and then college courses. Udacity's kind of neat. I interviewed a guy named Steve Huffman a couple of weeks ago. He was one of the founders of Reddit, very, very popular site. Now he runs a site called Hipmunk, a travel site. He teaches a free course on how to do web development. This is a guy who's got 2 major startups that really have changed the world, and Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Everybody should learn this, so I'm going to teach it for free online. And you get lectures, you get tests. The only thing you don't get is that piece of paper that says I have a bachelor's degree in science. You don't get that. But how important is that? Which is more? I guess we have to decide as a society which is more important, the piece of paper or the education? Because nowadays, the education's pretty much there for the taking. And if you really want to know this stuff, you can. And Isaac Asimov's future has happened. That's pretty exciting stuff. Oh, TED Talks. Somebody mentioned in the chat room. TED Talks, too. Hey, let's get to the phones. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm still trying to get the call screening to work, but it won't work. Hey, let's face it, we're all trying to save.
We'll add some periods.
We're all trying to find the best. No, it's not that. When I think about value, man, the first thing that comes to mind, DSL Extreme. I'm actually getting disconnected from the VPN again. $14.95. They didn't change the password again, did they? You're going to save hundreds of dollars a year. With DSL Extreme, everything's just as fast. There's no dialing in. There's no waiting on downloads. You can surf the net, store your photos, download music and video, get driving directions and everything. I love DSL Extreme. That's who I use.
It just works.
$14.95 a month. That's who you ought to be using. And by the way, they don't upsell you. There's no setup fees. The modem's free. The spam protection's free.
I'll tell you when to start doing the purge.
You even get email powered by Google with virtually unlimited storage and free online document, spreadsheet, and presentation software. For a limited time, high-speed internet.
You got to wonder what the future of
from my internet service provider, DSL
schools
Extreme.
are, especially higher education.
866-2-GET-NET.
All right, I have the call screening. Of course, you have to add
high-speed internet for $14.95 a month. Call 866 number 2 GET NET.
Thank you, Johnny.
DSL Extreme.
See, I can't spill it. That scared the hell out of John.
Oh, don't worry. It can't spill. It's not. He went, ah. You're not Professor Messer, are you? Hi. Nice to meet you. So what are you a professor of?
I have, what you just talked about.
Yeah, I saw in the chat room. I'm in here, and there's bacon everywhere. And I think he was talking about you, John. I don't know, but... there really is bacon.
The site you just talked about, because I make videos for IT professionals to get certified.
And where's that? Let's give it a plug.
ProfessorMesser.com.
Cool.
It's been down recently. Now's a good time.
Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down. Let's see if we can take it down. So that's cool. So what motivates you? Do you do this for free? No. You do.
I have a day job. This is the night job.
And what this is good to as you as a perfect example. What motivates you to do something like this? Do you think this will be a future career for you?
Oh, that's the goal.
Yeah.
It's kind of an experiment that escaped the lab because I just started doing them for free to see if there was really.
And obviously there was. Good Lord, you're doing a lot. And is this all you?
It's on me.
Holy moly.
We have about 950 videos on YouTube.
So this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about because in this area there are certs. And that piece of paper is kind of important.
I don't give the cert, but I give...
Right, so you're getting the education here without the piece of paper.
Right. I want people to there's nothing on the internet. So
I think that's so great. That's so good of you.
I took my computer and they didn't know what they were doing.
That's so good.
And I said, well, why don't they know what they're doing? Well, because it is.
And what's your real name?
James.
James. Nice to meet you, James. He's Professor Messer. Look at all this. So it's youtube.com/Professor Messer.
Yes.
Awesome. Look at all this. So boy, that's kind of a coinky-dink. You're in the studio. Here I am talking about all that.
I thought it was great. I agree completely.
I didn't know ahead of time until I saw you in the chat room and I said, hey, Professor Messer's here. It's really an amazing thing that's just blossomed.
I keep telling everybody that's what they should be doing.
Why should you part of the reason this comes up, and I'll mention this on the air, my son just signed up for college yesterday. And but I think it's good, but it's more about a social event. And I think of my daughter who's taking time off, and she's craving contact with her peers. And I said, that's really what college is now, is a chance to gather with your peers and have a social experience around learning. But the learning can happen without that. But I think, that's the good news. And I think it's important for her, it's important for him in their, late teens, early 20s to be in that environment. I don't know. My father's a college professor. We have this conversation a lot. We'll dedicate that to Salman Khan. He's the magic man. And Professor Messer, this is kind of funny because here I am talking about the fact that you can go online now and get a college education, everything but the sheepskin, at all of these wonderful sites. And in studio, I didn't even know this until I asked him. We have an open studio. People come and hang out. And I said, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm Professor Messer." I said, "You're Professor Messer?" Professor Messer teaches networking and technology theory online on a YouTube channel and at professormesser.com. And he does this for free. And I said, "Why do you do this for free?" He said, "Well, it started as an experiment, but it just kind of got out of control." But what's interesting, this is a perfect example of you'd be taking the kinds of courses that would get you certificates in security or network or computer IT A+ training. You'd be getting the kind of training that you would get to get that piece of paper, but you don't get the piece of paper. It turns out nowadays what you're paying for is the piece of paper, not the education. And it is true, and I've talked about this before, that there are a lot of jobs where absent experience, if they can look on your resume and see you've got 7 years in computer networking security and they can call your previous employer, you may not need that piece of paper. But if you're getting into the job market brand new and fresh, how are they going to know that you know what to do? So that piece of paper can come in handy. But the knowledge is there to be had for free in all kinds of areas. A lot of technical areas, but not. And the reason I'm thinking about this right now is because I got a fairly big check I have to write because my son, Henry, who's 18, graduating from high school in June, just, he's been going through the college application process and just decided to accept the University of Colorado at Boulder, CU Boulder. That's where he's going to go to school in the fall. And I've been thinking, my dad's a college professor. I grew up in college towns. I grew up surrounded by academics. And my dad and I have had this conversation many times. What is the future of the university? How important is a college education? Certainly, if you can't afford it, then the question's moot. You should go online and get the college education, minus the sheepskin. But is it important to go to college? And I think that for my kids anyway, I have 2 kids, college-age kids, there is some value to being in a learning environment surrounded by people your age who are also engaged in that process of getting ready for life and learning. There's a lot of learning going on outside the classroom as well as in. And it's more than beer pong, I hope. Otherwise, it's going to be a very expensive education in beer pong. But one hopes, and you can only lead a horse to water. You can't make them think. But one hopes that environment is important as part of it too. So I do think there's a role for that. My dad and I have kind of come to the conclusion that that's the role. In fact, in the early days of universities, medieval universities, when the university system began, there weren't really teachers. There were scholars who gathered together to discuss, to talk, to think. And maybe perhaps share a library because books were so expensive, and that makes a lot of sense. And maybe that's what's going to happen. Certainly the books aren't expensive anymore. The information is basically free and out there. But there's a lot to be said for the collegial environment. The colleagues, that's where the word colleague comes from. Colleagues getting together and discussing, learning together. And I think that there is some value there. But it does change how we think about college, doesn't it? 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number if you want to talk high tech. You see, this is important. It's the future of education. It's the future of our kids. It's the future of our society. Not just, it's not just gadgets and gizmos. 888-827-5536. Let's get to the phones. I'm open to anything tech. George in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. First call of the day. Hi, George. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm well.
Pretty good. I have a question. I have an IP-based security camera at the front door so I can not miss my mail or know who's at the front door. Mm-hmm. I also have someone else who lives in a different apartment in the same place where I am, and they want to access this camera. But if I give them a feed or an Ethernet cable from my router, they're going to get free internet from me. And
they sure are. So you want to give him access to the camera, which is on your network, but not access to the internet.
Yes, and if I do it over the internet, and because it's a security camera, it could be on. He can have it on 24 hours a day, and then there goes my entire data cap.
Maybe this is a bad idea. Do you really want to share this with him? What is it? What is the rationale here? He wants to know what's outside your door?
No, it's we share the same entrance.
I gets it.
More than one person.
I gets it. You know, a lot of these cameras have a web-based interface. You said it's what we call an IP, which means Internet Protocol. That means it's a camera that you can go look at on the network. Does it have a web-based Internet Protocol interface?
It works, but it has to be on my network.
It can't. It has to be on the internal LAN. It can't go to the outside world, huh?
Yes, I could access my camera from the outside world, but if I give him access from the outside world, then it's going to go through my internet, and then...
Well, giving him access to the camera will not give him access to your internet. Here's what you do. The camera has a unique internet address, what we call IP address, something in the order of 192.168.1.10 or whatever. You have a public IP address, the one that your internet service provider gives you to the outside world. You can do something called DMZ. If you really want to get fancy, you could port forward, but the easiest way is to DMZ the address for the camera. That's...
Okay, I see that feature in my camera where it has built-in DNS. But wouldn't I be using up my bandwidth?
Well, okay, so you got two different problems. Let me solve the first one, which is giving your neighbor access. So that by basically putting your camera out on the internet, you're making it public. You might want to password protect it unless I guess you don't care who sees your hallway. So there's step one is to say, here's the address. Here's my internet address, and if you come to it with a web browser, what you're going to see is a picture of the outside world. And you do that by telling your router, which is controlling your internal network, when traffic from the outside comes in, unsolicited traffic from the outside comes in on a specific port, you might even make it you could probably do this in your camera settings. You should look. Don't make it port 80. That's the web port. That's what the normal thing will be. Sometimes they make it 8080. Make it something odd, something above 1024. If you made it 1234, then your friend would have to know to surf to your public internet address, 24.1.7.32, and then colon and 1234, whatever the port is. We'd have to tell the browser, don't go into the normal port. Now, that's a little bit of what we call security by obscurity, because unless somebody knows that number, they can't see your camera. And your camera may have password protection. I'd turn that on as well. So now only your neighbor is going to be able to surf to your camera. But the problem is, what if he just leaves it on all day? It might use up your bandwidth. Exactly. That's a much more complicated thing to solve. You can do it, but you'd need to have a proxy server, something like Squid, running on your network, controlling the bandwidth. That is not worth it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, I guess what he could do is put...
make the neighbor pay for housing.
Yeah, that's what you do. There you go.
Or make everybody in the building pay.
Good solution.
Make everybody in the building pay.
I like that. I like that. So we're going to put, what are they called again? A drop cam. So, because the bandwidth comes from drop cam, right?
Yeah, they serve it.
Yeah. I mean, you still are serving it up to drop cam, so it does use some of your bandwidth, and it's on all the time, right? See, that's what he's worried about. But I'll mention it. I don't know. I mean, what he's asking is a little much. The Axis camera has a user-definable timeout,
Maybe
so he can watch it and then it'll stop working.
the Ethernet cable is not an issue. Maybe there's a way to do it with the Ethernet cable.
That's probably what this guy wants, but then he's going to have access to the guy's network.
Well, it depends on the right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he could be a guest. If Professor Messer can't figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, WDRT.
Well, yeah, you could use something like that. You have a little more
You need a proxy server that throttles his bandwidth, but that's what Squid will do. But that's a lot of.
In the same building, just need a firewall. So you can go to the data. And then hopefully that'll be good. It's probably hard to find a box that'll do that.
He wants to run a direct Ethernet line with no internet access. I understand that. And the solution that I mentioned will do that. If he has DMZ access to the camera, that's all he has access to. It does not give him internet access. So he will not be using your internet bandwidth. But now the guy says, oh, but I also don't want him hitting the camera the whole time. And so it's much more complicated to say, okay, there's going to be somebody looking at this camera. You got to stop him from using more than a megabyte a day or something. That's much more complicated. The Squid will do that, but that you have to set up a Linux, server. I'm sure there's DDWRT will have some way to do that. Who was that with me? That was Jammer B, John Slanina, my studio manager. And then Professor Messer is also here. He is ProfessorMesser.com. Which was confusing because we have a professor named Terry Messer who was a regular in here, and you overlapped. And I don't think she hangs out anymore. She's a professor she's a Canadian professor of geology at, I can't remember where she was a professor, but.
Yeah, I've had other professors. Messers want the domain name.
Right, too bad. You were the first. You own it. Just like somebody owns Leo.com. If he has a decent router, he can use the following setup: an access camera with a preset timeout and with a bandwidth cap running on a VLAN that's separate from the VLAN of the main network. The guest would only be allowed to see the camera, nothing else, and he wouldn't be able to watch the camera for more than a few minutes at a time, and he'd have a bandwidth cap. Good, Padre. That's our enterprise tech guy. Now, you're saying some routers have VLAN capability? Do you know which ones? Are there any consumer routers with VLAN capability? I guess in a way the Wi-Fi guest is VLAN. DDWRT will do it? All right. So, here's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to hack your router. You're going to have to put a custom firmware on there. And with a custom firmware, then you can VLAN your neighbor, give him a bandwidth cap. We'll also set up the timeout. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. All right, boy, the chat room's having a lot of fun with our last call. And this is a very geeky question. To set it up, he has a spy cam, security camera, monitoring his common hallway for package drop-offs, visitors, that kind of thing. His neighbor wants to use it too, but our caller was afraid that if we did that, his neighbor would, A, have access to his entire network, using his internet, for instance, or B, use up all his bandwidth because he's got bandwidth caps. So it's a kind of a tricky solution. We have in the chat room Father Robert Ballister. He's a Jesuit priest and an IT expert. He's the host of our Enterprise Tech show on my podcast network this week in Enterprise Tech. He said, "Why, that's simple, Leo. It doesn't take an act of God. All you need to do is take your router, install custom firmware, DDWRT, which will allow you to set up a VLAN. Now, get a camera like the Axis camera, which has a preset timeout and a bandwidth cap. Run it on the VLAN, separate from the LAN of the main network. Our neighbor would only be allowed to see the camera because only that's on the VLAN, can't access the internet, and the camera times out after a few minutes, so he'd have to refresh the page, so he couldn't just sit there. And there's a bandwidth cap." Okay, there's one way to do it. Of course, you have to buy now a new camera, probably a new router. If your existing router has a guest mode, well, no, you don't want to do that. You want to use a DMZ or a port forwarding to get your neighbor onto that camera. Some cameras do have timeout settings, like the Axis cam. That would be handy so that he can't just sit there and run it and run it and run it. Oh, wait a minute. Here's a good one. Put the camera on a second router. That's good. I like that. That would work. Buy another little router. Just put the camera on that. Anyway, doable, non-trivial. That's what us geeks say. I don't know. This might be more my era, but in the old days, you'd ask a programmer to do something, and they'd say either it was trivial, which means I can do that in a few minutes, or non-trivial, which means I don't know how. I have no idea how to do that. And usually both are a lie. Trivial means I can do it no problem. I'll sit down. I'll just bang that out for you 3 weeks later. Yeah, there's some bugs, but I'm working on it. Non-trivial means I just don't want to find out how to do that. This is a non-trivial. Chris in Knoxville, Tennessee. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm well. Welcome. What can I do for you?
Okay. I'm a over-the-road truck driver in the United States, going from coast to coast. And I try my best to try to pick up free Wi-Fi on my laptop, and a lot of times I just can't get a signal.
You can at the truck stops, but going down the road, you probably can't.
Well, some truck stops actually have a Wi-Fi, but you have to pay for it.
So you want to use the #1 internet service provider in America, Linksys.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Are you asking me? Well, go ahead. Ask the question.
All right. Well, basically, is there a system that I could get, without having to buy one of these cell phones that have their own hotspot or something that could help me pick up a Wi-Fi signal? Is there something I can do?
No. Wi-Fi is designed to go about 300 feet at most, really more like 150 feet. So as you're driving, unlikely that you're really going to have any luck with Wi-Fi. The handoff, that's why the cell system is so sophisticated. The handoff is complicated. So let's just say you can't do it while you're driving. You could if you use 3G or 4G. When you're at a truck stop, if it has free Wi-Fi, you can use it. If it doesn't, then you can't. Free is tricky. Now there's some new solutions out there. There's a company that was started by the folks who did Skype that supposedly is offering free Wi-Fi or free internet access. What was the name of that thing? Chat room will know. They'll tell me in a second. They're my brains. But I don't. A Magic Pop. That was it. I beat you, chat room. So is that it? Magic Pop? No. Okay, I didn't beat you. Freedom Pop. Thank you. Chat room beat me after all. So Freedom Pop. The problem is it's ad supported. It's not everywhere. You buy a special Freedom Pop device. It's 4G. It's not Wi-Fi, but it'll look like Wi-Fi your devices. You might check it out, Chris, at freedompop.com. It might work for what you want to do. I don't know whose network they use for this. Probably, I'm guessing Sprint, but I don't know. So they're reselling somebody's 4G network. You can get a certain amount for free. Padre says, I've got Freedom Pop. I pay $3.50 a month for half a gigabyte. That's a pretty good deal. It's Clearwire. All right. Well, that is Sprint, and that means it's going to be pretty limited about as to where you can get it. So this would work as you drive down the road because it is cell technology. In fact, the word cell phone, it kind of says what's going on with cell technology. It's all about the handoffs. You move from cell site to cell site, from cell to cell. And this was quite an innovation. The handoff is pretty seamless. Data continues, so you can use it going on down the road. So Father Robert says he has Freedom Pop, $3.50 a month. 500 megabytes is enough for very limited use. You really are going to want to watch that, Chris, because, of course, they'll bill you as you go over the amount. So even free internet is not completely free. It's an interesting challenge. And again, it's not going to be everywhere. And it depends on where you're going. As you roll down Highway 80 going coast to coast, there's a lot of Nebraska that has nothing. There's, as you well know, Chris, there's a lot of area that doesn't really have much. But there's one solution for you. Jimmy, Detroit, Michigan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jimmy.
Hey, Leo, how you doing? Hey, quick question on security. It's like people have like a feel good about security. I have
They shouldn't. If they knew anything about it, they wouldn't feel so good.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And I mean, not doing anything illegal, obviously, but I've heard of anonymizers and some.
Well, it depends what. Now, see, anonymizer is not about security. Anonymizer is about anonymity. So don't confuse security with anonymity. They're related, but security and privacy are two different things.
Sure.
So you can be secure without being private and vice versa.
Right.
Although, I guess if you were insecure, privacy would be kind of moot because the bad guys could see everything you do.
I mean, with that said, then, what is kind of the best security? What is a way to get truly secure? I guess is probably where I'm going with that.
Yeah, that's a really it's a good question, great question, for which the answer is fairly long and depends a lot on what you're doing and so forth. I do a show on the radio or on the podcast rather on the internet called Security Now, in which we spend roughly an hour and a half a week talking about the threats and then talking about what to do about it. And we've never run out of material yet. However, because you asked so nicely, I will give you some basic tips and point you to a website that has great information when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, stay off the internet. So the internet is an absolute necessity for us. Yes, it is an absolute necessity. You know what else is a necessity these days? Postage. Well, maybe not. A lot of people don't mail anything. If you don't have to listen to the next 60 seconds. If you do, maybe you're an Etsy seller or eBay seller and you mail stuff to your buyers. Maybe you're a business and you send out, invoices, flyers, contracts. If you do a lot of mailing, then you need to know about the professional mailing solution. It's the one we use here at the studios. It's called Stamps.com, and it means, and I love this, you'll never have to go to the post office again. A post office visit is a significant waste of time. Driving there, parking, and all that stuff. And if you're sending your employees out to buy stamps, that's really not necessary. You can print your own postage, with your computer, your printer. You do not need a postage meter. That's very 1980s. Those are gone. Those are done. With Stamps.com, you get the benefits of a postage meter, but at a fraction of the cost. All you need is a computer, a printer, a Stamps.com account, and you can print postage for any letter, any package, any class of mail. And you'll never go to the post office again. Not even the mail stuff, because they'll come and get it. International mailing, they fill out the forms for you. If you are doing express mail or priority mail or, that kind of thing, they'll automatically send tracking numbers via email. The software is so smart. There's even a USB scale, so you always have exactly the right postage. I want you to visit Stamps.com. You can learn more about it. It's how we send out everything here. It's nice, too, because it looks good. It prints right on the envelope. So we got the Twit logo, my company logo on it. It automatically gets the return address from, our address book and the sender's, the recipient's address from the address book or QuickBooks or the website. Now, if you go to Stamps.com, you'll see a nice special offer, but I'm going to invite you to click the microphone in the upper right-hand corner and use our offer code, TechGuy, 2 words, TECHGUY. Then suddenly you're going to see my face. Now, don't get scared. You can hide that part. Just slide the browser over to the right and focus on the good stuff, which is over here. The special offer. You get $55 in free postage. You can use that over the first few months of your Stamps.com account. You get that digital scale for free. You just pay shipping and handling. You get a $5 supply kit. And, of course, a free 4-week trial of Stamps.com. All of this if you use the offer code TechGuy. I think Stamps.com is a great solution. If you are this is a pro tip for people who do a lot of mailing. Print postage right from your computer and printer. No postage meter, no special inks, just Stamps.com. Use our offer code TECHGUY for a $110 no-risk trial. Stamps.com. There is, Bruce, in fact, there is also a code in Photoshop that will prevent you from counterfeiting U.S. bills. Did you know that? I would like some food, yeah.
Okay, super salad.
Oh, I should eat salad, but it's so much work. I've got to chew. So let me see what Petawuma Market is.
So you know the Big Gravity player has a debug screen.
Right. Oh, Padre, that's your player, not our sort. Padre. So I think he knows. He says, is anybody seeing a debug message? Well, this isn't April 7th anymore. Today's April 7th? That's what we have the interns for. So ooh, broccoli cheddar sounds very good. Let's get a medium broccoli cheddar. That because I wouldn't want a whole barrel of that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hackers, they got me on my knees. Hackers! I don't think Eric Clapton was singing about hackers in that song. But anyway, let's talk about protecting yourself. It was a great question. Protecting yourself from bad guys, from privacy invasions, that kind of thing. There is a good place to go. The United States Computer Emergency Readiness Team. Our federal tax dollars pay for it, so you might as well use it. CERT, they call it. If you go to us-cert.gov, they have some excellent security tips online. If you go right at the front there, in the menu, it says alerts and tips. And there's the alerts, might be more than you kind of want to know, but the alerts are, here's some security issues going on right now. I would go to the tips section. It says provide advice about common security issues for the general public. This is going to be a lot more information, than I can give you on the air. And it's all good stuff. Recognizing those fake antiviruses, for instance. Avoiding the pitfalls of online training. Avoiding social engineering. That's a big one. A lot of people think, hackers, they're programmers using sophisticated coding techniques to break into our systems. A lot of times they're just using what we call social engineering. They're tricking you. They're calling you up and saying, hello, this is Microsoft. I see you have viruses. I would like to help you fix it, please. And unfortunately, a lot of non-sophisticated users who don't listen to this radio show say, what? Yes. Here, do this. Run, and they have you run the event viewer. You see all those errors? That's a virus. And we noticed this on the internet while we were watching. And we can fix this. Sometimes they ask for money. Sometimes they don't ask for money. They say, we'll do this for free, but you have to give us access to your computer. Now, why do you think somebody calling in off the phone would like access to your computer? It's to put a virus on there. So don't fall for that one. Hoaxes, urban legends, dealing with cyberbullies, preventing and responding to identity theft. Lots of great stuff. Highly recommend this page from US CERT. They put a lot of energy into it. And they even have a campaign, Stop, Think, Connect. This is from the Department of Homeland Security. This is how serious. Actually, it's just because CERT is part of Homeland Security now. But Stop, Think, Connect is part of the DHS.gov website. You'll find a link also on the CERT page. Lots of information. Lots of information. And sometimes I look at this stuff and I go, that is so stupid. But this is actually very good stuff. Highly recommended. Believe it or not, the NSA, what does the NSA stand for? National Spy Administration. The National Security Agency has some very good believe it or not, security configuration guides. You know about this, Professor Messer, I'm sure, because this is really handy for people who are network engineers, run operating systems, and so forth. Now, some of this is very high-end, but some of it's very accessible. And, this is part of national security, isn't it? To lock down systems. So the security configuration guides are great. I mean, if things like high-end database servers and Cisco routers, but also how to secure Windows, how to secure Apple Macs. Go read this. This is really good. It's a PDF on how to secure Windows. Really good stuff. So there's lots of stuff online. Those are two very good sources. We paid for it. Might as well use it. US CERT, the Computer Emergency Response Team at us-cert.gov. And you'll find a link there to the Stop, Think, Connect program that the Department of Homeland Security runs. And, of course, the other place to go, the National Spy Administration, protecting us and our loved ones all the time. My general advice, well, if you want to stay safe, get off the internet completely. But that's not practical, right? So what we need to do is when we get on the internet, we need to do it the right way. You should have a router. Even if you only have one computer, the router is not just for computer internet sharing. It's really also to provide a buffer between you and the outside world. The router is a dumb box that rejects most incoming attacks, unlike your computer, which is kind of smart and might respond to an incoming attack. So I would never go on the internet unless it's behind a router. Good news is they're cheap. That's a firewall, too, even if it doesn't say it on the box. That's what it does. It's an effective firewall. That just means a barrier between you and the outside world. If you're using Wi-Fi, very simple. There's some simple steps you should take to protect yourself. Turn on WPA2 encryption. It's in the setups for your router. You may have just turned on the router, it worked, and said, that's good, and went on with your day. That's not usually the most secure. So look at the router manual, go into the router setup. You'll do it from a browser with a computer, and turn on WPA2 encryption. You'll have to set a password. While you're at it, you might want to change the name of your router and its login, its administrative login, to something that you can remember. No point in letting a bad guy administer your router without your permission. You should also disable UPnP, Universal Plug and Play. That's a dangerous feature on modern routers that should not be on by default. If you do that, your wireless router is as secure as a wired router. Of course, you want to, very important, keep your stuff up to date. And that used to be just keep Windows up to date. Now it's keep your operating system up to date, but also, as best you're able, keep third-party software up to date, particularly stuff that might be used as you browse the internet, like Adobe Reader or Flash or Java. Those three programs have been the source of a lot of security issues in the last few months. Primarily because the bad guys say, boy, everybody's protecting their Windows machines. What else can we do? Oh, look, when they surf around the internet, they also use Flash, Java, and Reader. Let's see if there's any flaws in there that we can take advantage of or exploit. That's why they call them exploits. And in fact, turns out Java's had an exploit every week for the last 6 months, practically. So make sure you keep those up to date. If you don't use Java, uninstall it. Get rid of it. You probably don't. Not JavaScript, Java. I would recommend, instead of Adobe Reader, that you use something like Qt PDF or Foxit Reader. They're free PDF readers that maybe aren't more secure, but they're less common, so they're less attacked. And you should always keep these up to date on a regular basis. Flash needs to be kept up to date, too. That's a real problem. So you do some of those things, you read these documents, you're doing the best you can. And I have to say, of course, running a strong, effective antivirus is a good idea as well. Microsoft now has, Windows 8 comes with an antivirus, which I think is about time, and a built-in software firewall. It's one of the reasons the bad guys don't attack Windows as much as they used to. Darn it! Microsoft's gotten smart. What else can we attack? Where else is there weaknesses? That's one of the reasons Macs are getting attacked now. Windows users wised up. So they said, well, who else can we? Oh, those Mac guys, they don't know nothing. Let's attack them. So it's a good idea to have a little antivirus, but it's also even important to do the things you can to make yourself less vulnerable. George, Venice, Florida, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, hey, George, we're going to take a break. I hear the magic music. which tells me that the news at the top of the hour is next. But hang on, you're next when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Steve Gibson, that's not right. That's not right. Postage meter companies. Kyle posted a video, huh? Let me look at that.
You know what's good?
Is it a farewell?
It is.
Aw.
I think they left out the cheese.
It's just broccoli?
Cream of broccoli.
Thank you, Kyle.
It didn't look like there was yellow
Yep.
bits, but it sure smells good.
That was fun. That was really fun. Oh, Mr. Kyle Benham on the control board. Oh, he's been doing a great thing lately.
I got to reshare this.
He put his playlist online,
That's
so we
Kyle.
can put it. I don't know, James, if you could put it in the show notes from yesterday. Kyle, you're going to do that every day now? Is put the bumper music online?
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's an inside joke from Kyle Benham, who runs our board and chooses the music. You know, Kyle, I'm promoting you. There's no money involved. You are now the tech guy's musical director. If you want to follow him on Google Plus, if you have a Google Plus account, it's Kyle, K-Y-L-E, Benham, B-E-N-H-A-M. Follow him there. Because I know people are always saying, where is that music coming from? Because Kyle likes to play music that fits the topic. He's on the internet. I think he's not paying any attention to the show. He's just on the internet looking for stuff to play. I think you found Kyle. Kyle Benham, who's a master of finding stuff on the internet. That is Jonathan Colton and me performing, isn't it? Kyle Benham would like to inform everyone listening today that he did not intentionally play this song. I'm in love with a cephalopod. Where the heck did you find that? Oh, it's Sonic. Sure, Sonic the Hedgehog. Wow.
That's Gina.
Drill, baby, drill. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Kyle Benham, our musical director, does it again. I'll tell you, if you like the music you hear in between on the show, you can get the playlist, the entire playlist, by following Kyle on Google+. So anybody who wants a great, talented, smart guy, Kyle Benham. I don't know if there's any truth to the rumor that Kyle Benham will be President Obama's musical director going forward, but he is moving back to the D.C. area, so your guess
certainly
is
could.
He could. Let's get that plug. I covered it up. One more time. What's that website? Moving back to the D.C. area, so your guess
certainly could.
He could. What's that website? One more time. Your guess
certainly could.
He could. We'll just pause it there. Kyle, there's one bonus. You don't have to hear this music ever again.
This is Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the hour from Premier Radio Networks.
Kind of looks like a eulogy picture.
You're tuned to Premier Channel 7.
He's not dead.
Leo Laporte,
You understand
the
that,
tech
right?
guy.
Looks like those Steve Jobs pictures after he passed. Oh, God. He's not dead. That was cute. That was good. Just so you know, Kyle did not get fired. Kyle quit.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at 6 minutes
He
past the
he
hour.
had it up to here with me.
Radio Network.
I am not working for that son of a bitch anymore. This is very good. It's a creamy broccoli with a little bit of cheddar. Here's cheddar. I wouldn't want too much cheddar. No.
This is Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at
You will not be the first CGP to ask. It is a wonderful cast of people. I know that we have Tim Stevens from Engadget. I know that we have who? Scott Johnson. Oh, and Clayton. Awesome. I did snort, Randy.
Channel 7, Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the hour from Premier Radio Networks.
Say again? The only problem with the monoprice monitor, it's big, it's matte, and it doesn't match, color match. So, well, no, of course not. So the issue is going to now be, can I mean, it's really, you sit there and you look, and it's like, oh, boy.
6 minutes past the hour from Premier Radio Networks.
Yeah, it's bluer. So I got to calibrate it, I guess. No, it has one button, brighter and darker. Yeah, but you can calibrate it in software, but it's not gonna. It's probably never gonna match. Yeah, if you had to. So there is the reason to get matching monitors, so they color match.
Will begin at 6 minutes past.
I wasn't thinking about that. You want it? It's nice. I'll tell you, 30. I was playing BioShock Infinite last night, and it's just a little. It's this much bigger, but it's enough bigger that it's kind of bigger. It's fun, and it's high res. It's like, yeah. So no, I'm not unhappy with it. I just have to figure out. I need a.
This is Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Who did?
Will begin at 6 minutes past the hour from Premier Radio Networks.
Yeah, 30s. The 30s. I missed. That's my old 30 there, my Apple 30, and I missed it. And it's pretty much the same as the Apple 30, except Apple probably goes through a lot of calibration. Actually, I should. Then all of the TNT shows will be the color correction will be off. But one of the things that you could do with two monitors is have Lightroom, and by default, Lightroom automatically puts the image you're working at full screen on the Apple on the second monitor. So at least I can look at it that way. But they don't match. So I guess I could calibrate it, but. Yeah, Ivory Jazz, man, I'll tell you the story of the Xbox app. It's amazing that Revision 3 got theirs approved. Normally, the way it works is Microsoft wants you to work with a certified Xbox app developer. And the cost of an Xbox app is around $100,000 to $150,000. That's a little beyond my means. So, but Revision 3 didn't want to pay that either. So they wrote it in-house. It's not hard to do. But then you have to get Microsoft to certify, which took, as you remember, months. In fact, it's not a guarantee that it would get certified. So you'd put the energy into it, and you may not get it certified. Revision 3 did. But no, I talked to, our friend at Microsoft at Xbox, and he explained to me. He said, we really encourage you to go through the channels. It'll be a lot easier. Because if you have a certified developer, then you don't have to go through the certification process. So that's why we don't have an Xbox app. We might try, we've got a programmer in-house now, Patrick Delahanty. He'll join us in a couple of months. We might try, having him write one and just see what happens. But my guess is by the time you're done, it ends up costing six figures anyway. Discovery can afford that. We can't. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo's the number. The website is techguylabs.com. Gotta go there, techguylabs.com. And you will find all sorts of stuff, including links to our chat room. A great place to go and hang out with the smart kids, the wiseacres in the back of the class. TechGuyLabs.com. George is on the line from Venice, Florida. Thanks for your patience, George. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey.
Got a problem with the Google Plus takeover of Picasso.
Google Plus is taking over everything. You know that.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So Picasso, the program lives. Google bought it. It was actually a third party. A company created it. Google bought them a couple of years ago, and you can still download it for free. It was a paid program. Google made it free, so credit for that. But what happens now with your pictures by default is they go to Google+, and it looks like, I would guess, Google's planning to phase out Picasso Web, which is the photo sharing side of Picasso, in favor of Google+. Do you not like that?
Well, the problem is that the albums that were created in a specific account that my son-in-law has have gone from 72 albums down to only 6 albums. When he logs in, he can only get 6 albums. And here's the
I'm looking at my albums on Google Plus. And these are basically the Picasso Web albums imported. And as far as I can tell, they're all there.
Yes, and the same with my account.
So something went wrong with your...
Same with another account I'm familiar with. However, his account only has 6 out of 72. And here's another thing that is critical to him, and that is that when you go to the Google page to do a Google search, and if you do a search of his name, you will get literally hundreds of photos.
Oh, that's not good.
That are randomly taken out of his 72 albums.
So here's the deal. First of all, he should immediately go over to Picasso Web, which is still there, and make sure that those are marked properly, marked private. They won't show up on the web if they're properly marked.
He's going to Google to do that, and you're saying he should go to...
Oh, wait a minute. I just went to Picasso Web, and guess what? It redirected me to Google, but as you see at the very... So what he's got to do is says, click here to go back. So I entered Picasso Web, got sent to Google+, but then it said, click here at the very top. So he needs to notice that. Be easy to miss. To go back to Picasso Web albums. Now you're back at Picasso Web. So if you go to Picasso Web directly, it will send you to Google+. But there is a little link right at the top in a yellow bar that will tell you.
Okay.
And that's where it'd be easiest for him to go and massively say, private. We'll also put a link to the support page on Google on privacy. You can also do it in Picasso. Does he use Picasso on the desktop?
Does he use Picasso on the desktop?
Picasso is a free program Google still offers that interacts with Picasso Web, but doesn't require Picasso Web.
Okay, I'm not sure how he does
ask him about Picasso, the program. It's Mac or PC. And if you download that, you can also manage it there. And it will, and in fact, it'd be a good time to do that because he can download all those albums on Picasso Web to his hard drive. So even if, Google messes with him further, at least he'll have all the photos locally.
Let me ask you one more question on the same subject. Maybe you or the chat room knows. Before the Google Plus takeover of Picasso, if you went to Google and searched for his name, would it have shown up all these photos? Or did that just occur recently when the takeover occurred?
If they were on Picasso Web, which I think they were, and they were marked public, yes.
They would have found them.
Yeah. So
I've got a lot of albums.
Don't mark them public. Make sure. Now, by default, they're not public. So he must have had some, or unless they are now by default. Facebook's done that in the past, but it's my understanding that, certainly it's the case on Google+. Anything that is uploaded to Google+ is private until you explicitly say, make this public, and that's how it should be. So I think he made them public at some point, unless something really went horribly wrong.
Yes, he did make them public so the rest of the family could
Well,
see his,
public is public. Public with a capital P, not just family, but public.
I understand, yeah, but now you can make them family. There's different categories.
Well, and this is the one advantage, and Google's going to say, no, we've upgraded you to Google+, because Google Plus has more features, and that's one very important one, which is because of the circles on Google+, you can be very granular at how you share. You could say, I only want to share to these 4 people. Or you can create a family circle. Say, I only want to share to the family. That's what he wants, obviously.
Okay, he'll have to go to Picasa.
I think the easiest thing, and I would recommend this if he hadn't used it before. I bet he has, but if he hadn't used it before, download Picasa, Mac or PC. It's free at picasa.com. It's actually an excellent photo library program, and it's free. He can then say, I want all my Picasa web photos right here, please. And he'll have them on his hard drive, which he should do anyway. He can mark them all private from there. And then maybe go into Google Plus and selectively public stuff, make it public to the family circle. That would be the best thing to do.
Sounds great, Leo.
Thanks for calling, George. And, I like how George said it. The takeover. And that's how it feels. So it's a tough thing for Google because I think on the one hand, they'd love to unify their services. They want Google Plus to be a success. They see Facebook taking over the world. Look at this new Facebook phone, Facebook Home. It's a pretty clear move by Facebook to make the internet equal Facebook. If you use Facebook Home on your Android phone, which is, by the way, Android is a free Google operating system. Google's still there, but it's harder to see. It's hidden away. Even Google Search is 2 clicks away. And Facebook becomes the internet. Just like, remember AOL was the internet some years ago? It's and some people prefer that. It's easier to understand, easier to use. It's a walled garden. It's kind of more restrictive. It has lots of nice free features. And as long as you understand the explicit trade-off you're making, which is, I'm going to use this free service for video, phone calls, and messaging, for sharing photos and information with family and friends. I'm going to use this free service. The trade-off is that this free service will then serve me ads based on the things I've indicated an interest in, or my location, or various signals that they're getting from the phone. That doesn't bother me. I don't think Facebook is actively trying to spy on me. Their business is to serve ads. And they feel, and they're probably right, and advertisers seem to feel, that the more they can target those ads, the more effective they'll be. And so how do they target them? Well, where's Leo right now? Oh, he's at work. There's a Domino's Pizza a block away. I bet you if we showed him a coupon for Domino's Pizza, we'd have a chance of getting him in there, and Domino's would pay us $1.50. That kind of thing. And that's the trade-off. Now, I think a lot of times geeks and the geeks who run these services like Google Plus and Facebook assume that you and I know that that's the trade-off. They're maybe not as explicit as they ought to be, probably for a couple of reasons. One, they don't want to raise any issues. They don't want to scare you. So, and two, because they just figure, well, you must know. But I don't think people do. Well, look, perfect example, George's son-in-law, who thought making pictures public was the best way to share them with family, not realizing that also puts them in Google search, because public is public. Now, somebody in the chat room saying, and this would be worth investigating, you're only seeing it in Google search because you're logged in. Yeah, check that. Log out of Google search and see if you can still find those images. That would be a good sign. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, how are you? Let's see. You must be... I got you written down here. Nobody's yet devised a way for a company to work without meeting. I'm going to tell you everybody about Gazelle for a minute. And then we'll come back. You know there's some new phones coming. I just ordered my HTC One. But that raises the issue. Well, what are you going to do with your old phone? Well, have you heard about Gazelle? GAZELLE.com. If you've got an old Samsung phone, an iPhone, a BlackBerry phone, if you got an old iPad or iPod, a MacBook or a Mac, Gazelle's a place to get cash fast. And I love. There's some features I really love. For instance, I don't have my HTC One yet. I ordered it, but it won't come for another 10 days. But I can get a quote right now on my Samsung Galaxy Note. Let's see, it's factory unlocked. And I'm going to get an offer. It's a white Galaxy Note 2, good condition, never got wet, and it's worth $220. That's nice. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in my box. They actually send you a postage paid box on anything worth more than $1. So they pay the postage. But here's the cool part. That offer is not going to change for 30 days. I get locked in. Now, if you go tomorrow, it'll probably be lower and lower and lower and all the. But I've locked in that offer. So now, do this now, because then when I get the one, I still have time. 30 days to send it. Get my data moved over. Make sure I like the one, all of that stuff. Here's a good one. I also have a Galaxy Note that is no longer functional. Factory unlocked, Galaxy Note. It is broken. Do you think they'll give me money for that? It's free of water damage. It just stopped working. Oh, no money for my but I can't get them to recycle it. Oh, sometimes they'll pay you. Let's see if they'll pay you for a broken iPhone. Sometimes they'll pay you for broken stuff. Let's say I have a nice broken iPhone. $370, by the way, for an iPhone 5. Wow. $150 for a broken iPhone. Guess a broken iPhone's worth more than a broken Galaxy Note. Sigh. I love it. Why don't you try it? GAZELLE.com. You may be amazed at how much the stuff that's just in your drawer, in your closet, in your car trunk is worth. Get that box, fill it up, send it back. By the way, a little pro tip here. They will send you a check or a PayPal credit, but if you get the Amazon gift card, you get an additional 5%. Additional 5%. Get that 30-day quote locked in today at GAZELLE, gazelle.com. Find out why over 500,000 customers have been paid more than $50 million. Keep it moving. Gazelle.com. Can't believe my broken iPhone 5 is worth $150. The broken Galaxy Note 2 is worth $0. Figures. Gazelle has an eBay shop. Gazelle shop. Actually, they don't put it in their ads, but that's a great place to go if you want good, high-quality, tested kind of used stuff. Go to the Gazelle shop on eBay. I know a lot of people do that. I do, Meep. You want to see a picture of me as a young lad? See if I can get to this quickly enough. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Question, comment, suggestion. Give me a ring. Let's talk. You and me. Let's go to Saskatchewan. Paul on the line from Saskatoon.
How are you doing today, Leo?
I'm well, Paul. How are you?
Great, other than all this white crap on the ground here.
It's still snowing in Saskatchewan.
Oh, shit, all weekend here.
I shouldn't laugh. Here I am in California. I should not mock you. But you did choose to live there.
No, I'm from Alberta, actually.
Oh, yeah, where it's nice and warm right now.
I don't know. I left there yesterday. But anyway.
Alberta's beautiful. Alberta's gorgeous. Alberta is just one of the most prettiest provinces. But anyway, enough of that. So is Saskatchewan. What can I do for you, Paul?
Okay. On Windows 8, the blue screen that's in behind the tile, can that be changed to like a picture like you have on Vista or XP or whatever?
Not that I know of. They give you a few choices of like crazy little tracery. They look like bad tattoos. He's talking about on the start screen on Windows 8. But I bet you that there is third-party software that'll do it. I don't think you can do it from within Windows 8. You can only change the color and put different tattoos on it. But I bet you companies like StarDock and others often will offer you something.
Because that start screen is just basically the same thing as on 7 or XP or whatever, where you can change the pictures, and instead of the tiles, you got icons, right?
Yeah, but Microsoft knows better. I don't...
Well, that's what I'm saying.
One of our chatters, Web3998, says, oh, yeah, you could change the color. Turn off the power. It goes black. I'm sure that, I don't know, because I haven't checked. I've kind of lived with the little traceries. But to my knowledge, the control panel in Windows 8 really gives you only a few choices. You can have some patterns and different colors. But I'm almost certain that stardock.com or somebody like that, they specialize in modifying the Windows desktop. They actually have a really, they do, Decorate from iKyle. Thank you, iKyle, in our chat room. That's stardock.com, and the program is called Decorate. They have a really cool program, which I'm kind of dying to try on Windows 8. Personalize the window. Look, it's right on the front page. Personalize the Windows 8 start screen with Decor and the number 8. DECOR and the number 8. We'll let you put your own images in there. And I guess Microsoft would say, well, you see, we've created an opportunity for an entrepreneurial young company to make a product to customize Windows. They just, who knows? I don't know why they didn't. But yeah, it'll use any image you want, any color scheme you want. You can customize it fully. It's free for 30 days, and it's only $5 to buy. So I guess that's worth it. Isn't that weird that Microsoft didn't do that, though? Now, there's another program that Stardock does that I'm very intrigued by that takes Metro apps. They're all full screen, right? And will let Metro apps become windowed apps within Windows on the desktop. They call it Modern Mix. By the way, Microsoft doesn't want to use the word Metro. They want to use the word modern. So that's why they call it Modern Mix. And this is kind of cool. This means that instead of having to have those Metro apps be full screen for $4.99, you can make them just windowed apps on the desktop. Stardock's got to be happy about Windows 8. As unhappy as many of us are about Windows 8, there's one company, Stardock, that's really happy. They said, we're going to make a mint on this. And they do good stuff. They good quality stuff. My friend Paul Thurrott, who is our Windows expert, he does the Windows Weekly podcast on my podcast network, recommended this Metro Mix. He uses it. He says, I just stay in the desktop as much as I can, because the desktop in Windows 8 is, like the desktop in Windows 7. It's familiar. It doesn't have a start button anymore, although you can add that as well. And so what he does is he just kind of pretends that the start screen doesn't even exist, and uses things like Metro Mix and other Stardock apps to. Now, for $50, you can get the whole object desktop, which does everything. You can display and pin modern apps on the taskbar, close modern apps by clicking the close button. Hallelujah. No more swiping down and off. I don't understand that at all. Create desktop shortcuts for modern apps. Access the Charms bar from an app's window. You get Fences, Start 8, Deskscapes, Windows, Blinds, Decor 8, and I'm going to buy this. $50. And basically, you can turn Windows 8 back into Windows 7. The good thing about Windows 8 is they have improved stuff under the hood. Copying is faster, more reliable. There's a lot of improvements. So Windows 8 is a better version of Windows. It's just that I think it's confusing for people because you've got two different operating systems, really. You've got a tablet-based touched operating system with this Metro full-screen UI, and you've got the old-school desktop operating system, Windows operating system, and it's just confusing. I can never be sure what I'm in at any given time. Let me pull out my Windows 8 laptop. I'm going to download this one right now. And they have free trials as well. Thanks for the call. I'm sorry about the snow, although Marmot in our chat room says it's snowing in Calgary, too, so Alberta's no better. Let's go to Winnetka, California. Mike next. Hi, Mike. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to call you. You answered a lot of my questions there about the virus problem.
That's why we keep you on hold so long. We figure your problem will be solved by the time I get to you.
No, my problem is just with people, they don't believe there's any problem with viruses.
Oh, there's a problem with viruses. Yeah.
They have AVG free and this free and that free. And it's okay, but let me put my eSIM on and I scan it and I come up with a lot of insidious viruses.
No kidding.
They don't know about, and they just think I'm a fraud. They think I'm trying to. They don't think I know what I'm doing. So my question to you is as simple as this: Are these virus companies like ESET, Kaspersky said, are they doing this on purpose to beef up their business?
They don't need to.
other companies?
I can't speak for everybody, but I know ESET very well. I know these guys. I've, broken bread with them. They're an advertiser, I should say. But they were an advertiser because I've been recommending them for so long. They finally said, we really ought to buy ads. Leo keeps giving us free ones. And they don't have to make up stuff. Believe me. So get a second opinion. If they don't believe you, here's a good one. Trend, which is another good virus, Trend Micro has a website called House Call that you can, if you go to antivirus.com, it has an online scanner. You can run that. See what that says. If you start getting a second opinion and they all say you're infected, the problem with the free stuff is it's as good as it can be, and it's free. But if you're so cheap you don't want to buy an antivirus, and I understand that. You spend a lot on the computer. Why should you spend $30 for a antivirus? Use Microsoft's free one at least, right? It's called Security Essentials. So have them say, would you trust Microsoft? They'll say, of course. Have them download Microsoft Security Essentials. First, uninstall all the antivirus and security and anti-spyware stuff. Just uninstall it all. Then have them get Microsoft Security Essentials. Then see what happens. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Trust Microsoft. They got you into the problem. Who better to get you out of it?
Chris hasn't been around? Chris is off today?
Yes. He's traveling. He's moving from Darmstadt to Tübingen or whatever. All right, now. I want to buy. See, okay, so now I'm using Windows 8. All right, there we go. So this is that colorful background, but you can't. You would think you could. I think they wanted to keep it simple, right? So that you wouldn't get distracted by pretty pictures behind there, because you could put pretty pictures on the desktop. No, Internet Explorer has stopped working. This happens to me a lot, by the way. Let's just close this out. Oh, go close. Thank you. So you can have these, these are my desktops, and I have them just, rotating on the desktop. But so I think Microsoft wants to distinguish between this and this. And yes, I have Skype running all the time now because Microsoft told me to. That's my new phone number. Why am I using IE, Rob? You might better ask, why am I using Windows? IE is a modern browser based on it's the Windows browser. Why wouldn't you use it? I'll tell you the real reason. Okay, so look how IE looks on. This is a nice 1080p screen, and IE is using ClearType and looks gorgeous. Chrome does not yet use ClearType, so Chrome does not. It just looks funky on this high-res display. And you may not be able to see it. You probably can't because of this compression, but you can see this. It's not anti-aliased. It's not using ClearType. So that's why. I far prefer Chrome, but it just doesn't work. So, plus, I like to use Metro apps. And that's IE for Metro. Full screen, beautiful. Now, you said Alt F4 still works. So, function Alt 4. Yeah, see? That's easy. Unfortunately, on this one, I have to use the function key, so it's a 3-keystroke thing. It's actually easier for me to do that. And I'm trying to learn the gestures, right? So, what was I doing? Oh, yeah. Let's go to StarDock. That's the other thing. Okay, so there's two IEs. This is Metro IE. That's got the address bar at the bottom. Desktop IE has the address bar at the top. I can go from one to the other. I don't know what's happening. Oh, no. No. Stop. No, I didn't mean to open that. Okay. Now, what was I doing? Oh, yeah. STARDOCK.com. The reason I haven't done this up to now is because I really wanted to use Windows 8 natively, but I think it's time. Just get it all for one. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Let's quickly go to Sydney, Australia. Poor Brent's been hanging on the line for a while. I hope you're using Skype, Brent.
I'm not, because I tried it before and it wasn't suitable.
What are you using now?
I couldn't hear me. Well, I'm just using my phone line.
Oh, Lord.
I tried Skype and the operator said they couldn't hear me.
Yeah, the bandwidth. Wow, well, I'm so sorry. This must be costing you a lot. Let's quickly get your question.
No, it doesn't. It's like 2 cents a minute.
Oh, thank goodness.
So nothing.
Is that with Telstra? Who's that with?
TPG.
That's a good deal.
Yeah. They are a new company and they've got it all sorted. They're offshore.
Ah, that's why. They're a pirate. They're a pirate radio station.
Yeah, they just set up overseas, and the operator answers overseas, and all they've got here is their connections. They don't own any hardware at all, no lines
Isn't that
or anything.
brilliant? Wow.
Yeah.
I bet everybody's moving to them.
Anyway. Yeah.
What can I do for you?
Well, about a year ago, I got Ubuntu. I replaced it. I had XP before, and what I've got is I got 2 screens, and I had my television playing through the second screen when I had XP.
Wow.
And it was great because I can work online and look at the screen at the same time.
Right.
And I haven't been able to make that work with Ubuntu. I've got the same video card and everything. And everyone says it's really difficult to get hardware to match for a video card for Ubuntu.
Yeah, this is something that Microsoft put a lot of energy into over the years to get multiple screens. It's not that Linux won't do it. It's really a driver issue. So who makes your video card?
It's that how do you say it? Hauppauge or whatever
Hauppauge?
it is? WinFast.
I see.
Yeah,
all right. So you're using a TV tuner card.
Yeah.
And you have, I get it. All right. So what you want is the TV tuner card will have the television, and then you have a main display that's the Linux desktop. Is that it?
Yeah. Well, the two screens work fine on Ubuntu. That's no trouble.
Right.
It's just getting that. What I normally do is I have one screen of the web. The second screen has my document, and in the right corner I have a small window of the TV.
Yeah.
And it worked perfectly on XP, and I just can't get the card and to make it work at all. I'm just wondering how I could override that, or anybody makes a card that does that.
So it's
one thing I could do. I've got.
It's always a software issue, and the reason is that companies like Hauppauge make darn sure their stuff works with Windows, but the Linux market's so small that they often don't work as hard. So it's possible that somebody has made, probably not Hauppauge, but that somebody has made a driver that works with Ubuntu for Hauppauge. So that's the first thing I'd search around for. Finally, you might try, somebody in the chat room suggested the Aver TV, A-V-E-R TV. Nope, I'm sorry. I thought they said it does work. It does not work on Linux. Okay. So it's really a question of what the chipset is in that Hauppauge, and if somebody has written a driver for that chipset. Right. Now,
nobody else really makes a card that would do it.
Well, there are many companies that do. Here's a good site for you. Myth, M-Y-T-H TV, is a Linux-based XBMC-style media program. And they list what cards work well and what cards don't work. So that would be it's a wiki site at mythtv.org that might help you figure out. And they talk about they actually talk about which Hauppauge do you have?
WinFast.
Yeah, you'll have to look at this because it shows what will work, what won't work, whether it'll work with Linux and so forth. That's certainly worth.
I've actually got VirtualBox within Ubuntu, and that plays Windows in it. I was wondering perhaps I could.
Yeah, I mean it might work. Sure. Run VirtualBox, install Windows XP, and then have the Hapag there because it is literally just a driver issue.
I've got XP already installed.
Yeah, it's just a driver issue. So whatever you were using to play the Hapag card, the problem with well, we'll see. I mean, try it. The problem with emulation of virtual machines like that is they generally give you generic hardware interfaces because they're insulating Windows against it. So it may not even see it. I don't know if it will.
Okay. Can I just ask you another quick question?
Sure.
Yeah, have you heard of the Ola unblocker?
Mm-mm.
That's HOLA unblocker.
Hola unblocker.
Ola.
Yeah.
Ola unblocker.
Hola. That's hello in Spanish. What does it do?
It's a proxy, and I'm able to watch American and British television. And it works perfectly.
Oh, very clever.
It took about 1 minute to set up. It takes no skill. You just download it and bang, it's working. And there I was watching, you can see everything. What do you call it? Hulu and everything I can get, and American networks. I'm just worried. Does it install anything, spyware or anything? Because they had this little devil that shows up in the corner.
I see the devil. Are you using it as a Chrome extension or as a standalone app?
Well, there's many. You can put it within Firefox, which I've got. I just got it installed in Firefox.
I think you're probably all right. When you install these things into the browser, especially if you get it at the browser store, I think you're all right. I don't know of any. It's just a proxy server. So what it does is it tricks the site you're visiting in the U.S. into thinking you're visiting not from Australia but from a U.S. address. That's a very easy, simple thing to do. I don't know if it's safe or not, but if it's in the Firefox store, I would guess it is.
Because when I was ordering some books from the university, in the pay box, the little devil popped up on that as well.
Well, it's in your browser, so that's telling you it's on. That it's telling the site you're visiting you're in a U.S. market. You might want to disable it when you're not watching TV, I guess.
Right.
I'm looking at a Lifehacker review of it. It sounds pretty cool. It doesn't sound like it's got a problem. I'll look in the chat room. The devil is a little scary.
I like using it. It's great.
Yeah, it's for Windows, Android, Chrome, Firefox, and Mac. I don't know anything about it, but it looks fine, and I haven't heard anything bad about it, and the chat room doesn't seem to be complaining about it. I don't know if I should be telling the world about it, but I guess you did, right? It's some guy in Australia that's talking. Brent, it's great to talk to you. Thanks for spending a couple of cents a minute to be on the line with us. I appreciate it, and I'm glad you listen in Australia, down under. Oh, it's HOLA.org if you want to find out more, and it's free. You don't need it in the U.S., so well, actually, I take it back. Maybe you do. If, for instance, you wanted to watch the BBC in the U.S., they'll block you for good reason. You know, the BBC is supported by license fees from Brits, not by us. And so they say, well, I'm sorry, you don't pay for it. You can't watch it. Kyle says, and he's right, remember, with any proxy services, which is what Ola is, all your traffic is going through the service. So turn it off, except when you're watching TV. That would be a good idea. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. I'm going to get a call from the Motion Picture Association of America. I just know it. I am the tech guy. Hey, that's why we fought the revolution. So we could watch British TV in America. Epson projectors
That's
showcase
why we threw the
amazing
tea into the
color,
harbor.
brilliant image quality. With today's high-definition content, you want your movies to appear with show-stopping quality in both darkened home theaters and brighter environments. Oh, you still want a baby
measurement
picture, huh?
lumens is not enough.
Man, you got a
wanna
good
look
memory.
For both
high color brightness and high white brightness to have a truly impressive
Okay.
image. So get consistent, true-to-life color.
Let's
with
go
Epson
see baby pictures.
Whether you're watching movies, playing video games, or just watching a family slideshow. Check out the new 3020 and 5020 Ultra Black 2D and
Where are
3D
my baby
projectors
pictures?
are also available in wireless. These projectors are still the only
I
way to
did.
get
Very
truly
nice.
huge images,
Nicely
up to
done. Tim
300
Stevens.
inches. That's 25 times
the other
size of a
guys.
60-inch
It's
flat
going to be
panel.
great.
Epson has what you need in projectors.
Clayton
Whether you're a
Morris
first-time buyer or
and
not,
Scott
you'll
Johnson.
find the right projector
Gonna be
for your
great.
home or office needs with 3 times the color brightness than competitive models. Visit Epson.com to learn more. Epson.
Yes, absolutely.
Postage meter companies used to have the monopoly on printing postage. They could charge an arm
Just
and a
for
leg to
us?
print postage from your
Good.
own office, and you still have to
All right,
bring it back
here's
to the
here's
post
my
office
baby
to get it
picture.
recharged. Those days are over. You don't have to go to the post office. You don't have to rent a postage meter. You can use Stamps.com. Print your own postage.
Oh my God, I'm naked!
With your computer and your printer, all the benefits.
No, I wasn't married then.
At a fraction of the cost. Actually, it's better because with this USB scale, you always know exactly the right postage for any letter or package. any class.
I did have a lot of
You
hair.
never have to step foot inside a crowded post office because everything you do at the post office.
I have other pictures of me. Let's see.
I love Stamps.com. I want you to tweet my office all the time. I want you to try it. You gotta know.
Here's so that's my sister. No, that's me. Here I am. That's with my dad. New York City. Here I am salting my plate. I liked salt a lot even then. That was my my early days in the sandbox. Here's how I started in radio. Talking to a pot. And here's how I started in TV. I did set up the Sonos Playbar. It sounds fantastic. Setup was a snap. They have a very nice interface, and I'm very happy with it. They make it very easy to hook it up to a Sonos sub as well. So, it's part of the setup process. So, highly recommend it. It's a little pricey, but boy, it's a great soundbar. Very nice. Big Daddy, I'm sorry. Come on, don't you like baby pictures?
How'd you connect the Playbar?
It only has one way to connect it, which is optical. I thought it had HDMI, but it does not. But almost all TVs have optical out, and not all TVs have HDMI out kind of return. So I think that's a sensible way to go.
And it also acts as a Sonos as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds very good. It's got 8 or 9 speakers. There's no big subwoofers, but the bass response is very good. I think it's good. No, I'm very happy with it. And that's, $600 or $700. It's not cheap.
I've got 2 Sonos set up.
I am so deep into the Sonos. My entire house, every room has Sonos somewhere. Yeah. And here too, we have Sonoses all over. We love Sonos. It's expensive, but boy, there's no easier way to do it.
Bind them together. They now go left and right. You just have to
In my bedroom, I have left and right Sonos. My gym, I have left and right Sonos. Yeah.
Okay, Leo, Carbonite Live Read.
Thanks, Nathan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Somebody in the chat room asked me, and I had said I was going to talk about it, so I will now, if I installed that Sonos Playbar. So I've talked before about the Sonos system. And I always feel a little funny talking about it because it's so expensive. I feel like, this is not a solution for everybody. But given what it does and how well it does it, for me, it was worth it. Sonos is a music system. It allows you to add wireless music to any room in your house. That's key, wireless. You plug it into the wall, but you don't have to plug it into anything else. At some point, it needs to be plugged into the internet. So you'll put one Sonos unit, whether it's and they have a variety of different kinds of units, whether it's a speaker unit or a base station next to your router. and the Ethernet will plug into that. But then that's all you need. Everything else is connected wirelessly, not exactly via Wi-Fi. They have their own private network, so that's important. It does a good job. There's no latency. It's an amazing thing. They're all connected via wireless to each other and to the base unit and to the internet. You can control it, remote controls from Android, iPhone, desktop computers that allow you to add, Spotify, Pandora, TuneIn Internet Radio, your own music collections available. If you have an iPhone, all the music on the iPhone is available. And they've just released a Playbar, which is a soundbar. Now, soundbars tend to be pretty expensive. So the Playbar, which is pricey, like all Sonos gear, is not outrageously pricey compared to other Sonos gear. I think it's $600 or $700. Simple connection. You plug it into the wall. If you have no other Sonos gear, you'll need to have an Ethernet connection to a router, and then an optical cable that goes to your TV. Almost all modern TVs have optical out, so that when you're watching something on the TV, even if it's coming from the cable box or a Roku or Apple TV, it goes into the TV. The TV then routes the audio out via optical, so that you can then connect the soundbar. Sound quality was excellent. Very, very pleased. It is very easy to set up. It works well with a Sonos subwoofer if you want to get a bigger, richer bass, although I found the quality was good enough that I probably didn't really need it, unless, you're watching movies that, have things blowing up or earthquakes. It works very nicely, was able to recognize the TV remote control, so I can turn the volume up and down from the TV's remote control now. But some TVs, and there's a little workaround you have to enable. Some TVs will display an error message saying, well, you're moving the button, but I can't do anything about it. And that's a little annoying, but not the end of the world. Very happy with the Sonos. I have Sonos everywhere in every room, and the sound quality is excellent. But as I said, a little pricey, but boy, about the easiest way to wirelessly connect your house. And I love it. I'll put, it has a party mode that all the speakers can play the same thing, including the Playbar. So I'll put an audio book on as I'm doing my housework, and everywhere I go, the house resonates with the story I'm listening to. But you can also have individual rooms. Each can have their own music. So a lot of people in the chat room saying, way overpriced. And I agree. It's very expensive. Creating something similar, very tough. And particularly the party mode. Because anything that uses Wi-Fi you're going to have latency issues where the speakers are not completely in sync. Sonos does some magic, and they're all in sync. Somebody's asking, do you need a subwoofer? You probably will want one if you want rich bass on a Sonos soundbar. They do offer a subwoofer, but it's a pretty complete system. It has 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 speakers in there. So it's got pretty rich sound, and it simulates surround, of course. It's beautiful too. It's very compact. Nice. It's a nice. I give it a thumbs up with the one little, point that it's kind of pricey. James in San Diego, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, James.
Hi, Leo. I'm calling. Basically, I'd like to know if one of your sponsors, DSL Extreme, is compatible with Microsoft Xbox's Xbox Live service, because I was thinking about switching over to it.
All internet services are. It's just an internet connection. But there's one thing that you might note, which is that Xbox Live wants to configure your router in such a way that it can get inbound connection requests. So, and this is why actually Microsoft invented Universal Plug and Play. My security guru, Steve Gibson, has noted many times how dangerous Universal Plug and Play is, and we recommend you turn it off anyway. But it does make it a little tricky to use Xbox Live. You have to port forward and stuff like that. Absolutely, okay, you can do all that though with a DSL Extreme router. Absolutely.
And you haven't experienced any latency or lag issues with that particular product?
One thing that DSL Extreme does, which I kind of like, a lot of independent internet service providers are looking for ways to distinguish themselves. They run a lot of game servers. Now I don't know if they run Xbox Live servers, but they're great for many of the kinds of, if you're playing Team Fortress or a lot of these online games, they actually run servers, which means very low latency when you're playing on that server. I don't know. I've played it. I've used Xbox Live on DSL Extreme for years. Haven't noticed particular latency. I think it's a pretty traditional internet service provider. You'll normally notice that latency is lower on DSL providers than it is on cable modems. Cable modems are faster, but often don't provide the consistency of service that DSL can. So I would not hesitate and recommend them. Of course, disclaimer, they are an advertiser on the show. Got to say that. Lee in Colton, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Lee.
Hey, what's up? I'm a big fan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, long time, first time.
All right. What can I do for you?
Hey, Leo. I had a question. I recently bought back in January a Vizio 55-inch 3D TV.
Okay.
And replaced an older Dynex 42-inch. Anyway, when I'm watching TV and I have the home theater set up, and I go to power everything down. I'm going to leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
Or just want to watch TV on a regular, with the sound coming through the TV. And it doesn't do it every time, but when I go to, I'll turn off the receiver, and the video signal on the TV every once in a while will, cut out,
right.
like it's,
right.
and it'll come back on, and I was wondering why it does that, and it doesn't do it every time.
Your TV's hooked up to the receiver, right?
It's an older Sony receiver. It doesn't have HDMI, so I have the digital optical going.
Right.
From,
so your TV senses the signal loss, thinks for a little bit, and says, "Oh, wait a minute," and continues on. That's normal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's normal.
Okay.
You probably can configure the TV or the receiver in such a way that doesn't happen. But if you're getting the signal as you are through the receiver, when the receiver goes off, the TV says, "Yeah, just went dark." What it shouldn't do is come back on. What it should do is stay off, because there's nothing to see, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not turning off the direct TV or anything. I'm just turning off the stereo receiver. And I guess it just loses the signal real quick.
Yeah.
And it goes back to HDMI 1 direct TV and stuff.
Exactly. And that takes a little time. That's all. Yep.
Okay.
It's exactly completely normal.
Another question I had, Leo, too, is I had I had it crap out on me. Is my subwoofer? It's a Polk PSW 120.
Oh, that's too bad.
I guess the woofer just basically it's what 10, 12 years old.
Yeah, that's a good hardware. Good.
Yeah, I got my money's worth out of it. I really liked it. It had really tight, great sound. And I just kind of a quick fix bought a cheaper, little Sony, 100-watt subwoofer, and it does the job. It's going to, do the trick till I, save up a little money and get something, better. But could I replace the woofer on the Polk? Is there a fix that I could do to that?
Generally, I don't recommend that. Those things are very carefully tuned to the box and so forth. You could probably buy a speaker that would fit in the hole, but I don't know if you're going to get great result. There, Polk is a very well-known brand, so if you could find a speaker repair shop, you might be able to go in there and they can get the part from Polk and put it in appropriately, mount it appropriately, and so forth. I think you could, it's not unusual, and I suspect you could get it repaired. The other thing you could do, you might try, is finding an old one on eBay, and then kind of picking the part from the old one and putting it in the new one. A Polk chop shop, says Monkey Stick. It does have to match, though. You really do want to, if you want to preserve the quality of the sound, you really want to match it. Hey, thanks for the call. Thanks for listening. We got another hour to come. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Stay right here. I know I missed the ad, Nathan, but I'll get it in the next break.
Okay, thanks, man.
When we built the Tech Guy Labs, we chose to do as much as we could in the cloud. Hey, I haven't talked about Hover in a while. Be a good time to talk about them, wouldn't it? You know about Hover. Hover.com. It's a domain registrar. It's as far as I'm concerned, the domain registrar. It's where I've got all my domains now. It was not easy moving them over, so I'm going to recommend, if you do want to move to Hover, and I recommend you do, that you use their great domain concierge service. If you mention me, I think they'll give it to you for free and move all your domains over there. $10 to transfer a domain to hover.com, but that gives you an extra year above whatever your normal expiration date is, and that's a good deal. It's a great place to start, too, if you're registering domain names. They have the best domain management tools, and the main thing is there's no upsell. It's very straightforward. And I tell you, if you don't yet have your own domain name, I would recommend it. You may not have a use for it. You don't need it to make a website out of it or anything, but just, for instance, we hear from people all the time who have trouble with their email providers. Oh, Yahoo is well, you got to tell everybody you got a new email address. It's a real pain. If right now you go to hover.com and register your domain, I'm Leoville, and I just have Hover forward that mail on. Leo at leoville.com. It just forwards it on. I use Gmail as my back end, but they don't need to know that. If someday I decided to use something else, I just change it at Hover, and boom, it's forwarding over there. When my kids were born, of course, I registered their names. They aren't using them yet, but if they ever want them, we got them. It's affordable, it's easy, it's fast, it's hover.com. And by the way, they throw in Whois privacy with every registration. They don't try to upsell you on that. They just include it because they know that you want domain privacy. Really advanced DNS management, domain editing, unlimited domain forwarding. Hover.com. They've got a no-hold policy. If you call their toll-free support number during regular business hours, you will get a support rep who is empowered to fix your problem, to help you get it done. They will not put you on hold. They will not transfer you. They will fix it. You will probably never have to call it. They're really good. Part of Two Cows. They've been around since '94. It's one of the largest domain name registrars in the world, and they decided, we want to do this right. We want to fix this. So visit hover.com today. Go to hover.com/techguy. To register to your domain name, use our offer code TechGuy, one word. You'll get 10% off, and we thank Hover so much for funding the Tech Guy podcast. They make it possible. Hover.com/TechGuy. Hover does have code. They have, let's see, I'll give you all of them. .com, .net, .org, .tv, .pro, .mobi, .biz, .ca, .asia, .us, .uk. Actually, when you enter an address, they offer you the .com if it's available, but so many have been taken that they also offer you the .net address. And .net is a really good, you could try .mobi, but I think .net is a really good alternative that, people know. Even with twit.tv, I have to sometimes say, no, they say twit.tv.com? No, it's twit.tv. You mean twit.tv.com? No, it would be, maybe I should have been twit.net. It would have been a lot easier. Twit.tv.com, right? No, not that. Not that. All right, let's see. I'm buying. .tv, Tuvalu is syncing. But even if they sync, I think there'll still be a .tv address. I hope.
This is Premier Channel 7.
That would be bad.
The Tech Guy will begin at 6 minutes past the hour from Premier Radio Networks.
Yeah, what happens if it syncs? It's syncing. There are .tv.com domains, but they're owned by .tv. If they're owned by TV.com. Beatmaster says, don't forget to apologize to Clayton for the last time Natalie was on. What did I say?
This is Premier Channel 7.
Did I say bad things to Natalie? I'll apologize just in general. I don't know what I did, but I'm sorry. I'm sure I did something wrong. Yeah, a lot of people complain about my Ford Touch. I don't think it's buggy so much as the UI is confusing. In fact, Ford very famously sent USB keys to all the My Ford Touch users, updating it. And I haven't tried the new one, but I think it's much better. I will find out. because I'm gonna buy I'm gonna buy a Fusion as soon as I'm waiting to hear from Ford, but I really want to buy a Fusion, the new plug-in hybrid version, and so I can get because we have chargers in the garage over here, and I'll get a charger at home.
Link to the new Taurus. It's amazing, the integration.
Yeah. Do you have My Ford Touch in that?
Yes.
And you like it?
Well, from the time I spent in the car driving from
Yeah.
the airport to here.
It's pretty cool, and I love the soft screens so that you can, yeah. The Fusion is a Volvo S60. No, the Fusion is based on the Lincoln MKZ chassis, I think. However, if it were a Volvo, I'd be happy too. I think the Fusion really looks good. No, I'm not doing an ad for Ford right now. I'm just... I want to get the plug-in one.
This is Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Will begin
That's it, the Energy. Fusion Energy, I guess that's it.
Radio Networks.
So you can go about 30 miles, I think, on the electrical, which is most of my driving is just around town. So and then if you want to go faster than whatever, 60 miles an hour or farther than 30 miles, then the gas engine kicks in. So it's kind of an electric vehicle that's range unlimited is the idea.
The tech guy will begin at 6 minutes past the hour from Premier Radio Network.
I wonder how much it's going to be. Huh? Yeah, let's build one. Shall I build one? Yes, I'm going to build one.
What did we do before we
I know, this is so cool. I do this a lot. Ooh, it starts at 38,000. Wow. It's because you're buying all those batteries. Do I want the titanium? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Wait a minute. Engine. What kind of engines can I get? Okay, that's it. All right. There you go. So, ooh, there's 16 left. Maybe I should just go get one. Driver assist package. I definitely want that. That's the one where, like, yeah, bliss, lane departure, auto high beams, rain sensing wipers. Ooh, 110 volt outlet. That's nice. It probably takes forever to charge. But okay, yeah, I definitely want that. Okay, what color should I get? Not ice. Blue's pretty. I'm not getting red anymore. Bordeaux's not bad, though. I like that. That's kind of classy, huh? Silver. You think the dark gray? Ooh. That is pretty, isn't it? That or the burgundy. I kind of like the burgundy. You like the burgundy? All right. Active park assist. Yeah, I love that. That's where it parks a car for you. Adaptive cruise control. Yeah, that's cool. It slows down as there's other cars. Wait a minute. I think I get all that, don't I? Maybe they'll be smart enough not to.
Carbonite live read.
Thank you, sir. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, smartphones, home theater, digital photography. 8888 Ask Leo's the number if you have a comment, a question, a suggestion. If you want to talk about tech, that's what I'm here for, my friend. You can also reach us via the internet at 888-827-5536. Use Skype, something like that. And our website, techguylabs.com. Don't forget that. A good place to go to get information about everything we talk about on the show, video and audio after the fact, and, of course, a link to our fabulous chat room. Fabulous chat room. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number to call. And Charlie in, is it Havre, Montana? Havre, Montana? Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Good afternoon, Leo.
Hey, Charlie. How do you pronounce that?
Havre, H-A-V-R-E, Havre, Montana.
Havre, Montana. Nice to meet you, Charlie.
Nice meeting you. Yeah, I'm a locomotive engineer. I take freight trains over the mountain.
Oh, man, you got the coolest job in the world. Do you wear a little engineer hat?
Yeah. No, that would be the conductor.
Oh, okay. Still the coolest job in the world. Are they diesel locomotives? I guess they are.
Diesel electric, correct.
Diesel electric. That means you've got a diesel engine, but it charges electric motor?
Yeah, and they run traction motors for dynamic braking.
Oh, very interesting. And more torque, I would imagine, too.
Yes, yes. We haul grain trains and oil trains and, a lot of heavy heavy merchandise.
Wow. That seems like a fun... Is it a fun job or is it boring after a while?
It depends on your attitude, I guess.
Yeah. I think it'd be so much fun. Well, anyway, enough about you. What can I do for you?
My question today is, obviously I'm always curious about networking, but I started hearing about these power line adapters that you plug into your wall.
Yeah.
I guess my question is, what is the purpose of them, and why would somebody need them for a home network?
You know, when they've been trying this for a long time, the idea that you already got wires in the wall, your power, and so why should you string Ethernet or, you know, why not just use the power lines in your wall? And so for people who want wired internet access or wired network throughout the house, this seems like a good idea. The problem is, of course, we've got power on there, and that provides a huge amount of interference. It's a tricky thing to do. The earliest days of power line networking were terrible, but they've gotten, in my opinion, they've gotten better and better. And at this point, it's a pretty reliable solution. There are a couple of caveats. It doesn't go across, you know, it doesn't, if you have multiple grids in your house separated by junction boxes, it won't go across those. So it has to all be, the wires all have to be on the same, you know, basic grid. But I think this is a clever way to solve a problem. And I'll give you an example of one way people often use this. You've got a router in one room, you know, your internet access is in one room, and a TV in another room, maybe at a distance far enough that Wi-Fi is not a good solution, or maybe your television stuff doesn't have Wi-Fi. So you somehow have to get the Ethernet connectivity from the router to the TV. Power line networking is pretty good. You'll have to have a special wall unit that plugs into a plug socket on both ends, and then those convert to Ethernet coming out of them. I haven't used it myself, so I have to say I'm only reporting what others have told me, but it seems to work fairly well. It's, you know, not something you necessarily would want to do. Wi-Fi probably is better if it works for you.
Yeah, that would be the problem. I have an older TV that doesn't have Ethernet port or wireless, so
precisely.
It sounds like a solution.
Right. Professor Messer is sitting across from me. It points out, and this is really true, that the ham community was up in arms over something called broadband over power lines. This was a plan, since abandoned by the FCC, to get the power companies to provide broadband access over their big fat pipes. The problem was that putting information over those wires caused huge amounts of interference, particularly in the emergency and the ham radio bands. So people were unhappy about that. The FCC thought that they would be able to do it without interference. I remember getting a demonstration from the chairman of the FCC at the time, Michael Powell, who said, "Oh, no, we can notch it out. See, it works just fine." But it turned out it really didn't. So they abandoned that. That's not quite the same as power line networking.
I'm curious if the chat room would have a recommendation for brand like Zexcel or Netgear.
Let me ask. I know Netgear sells them, and I've been very happy with Netgear's other stuff. Chat room, you have a recommendation? Has anybody used these power line networking hardware, and what ones do you recommend? One of them, Web7477, says he uses the D-Link. It works well. Edmonton Oiler Guy says he likes the Netgear. Fredcast says he uses it exactly as you want to. Charlie, he uses it for his TV, and it's worked great. A lot of people say Netgear and D-Link. Those two companies make excellent hardware anyway. I would bet they'd be a good choice. I haven't tried the Zycel. Zycel's kind of a high-end modem company, but I bet you they'd work fine, too. In fact, a number of people in the chat room also use it. Compter says WD Livewire.
DR655.
Yeah.
Router anyway.
All right. Well, there you go. If you already is in the Zycel family, go ahead. I think they make
pretty good things about that company.
Yeah, I think they make more expensive but maybe more robust stuff than the consumer brands.
Okay, it sounds like a cheap solution. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And Nightstar makes the point, which I agree with. The catch is how your incoming 220 is split into the house. It may not be able to cross over a junction. So you have to be on the same wires. Good choice, though. Well, there you go. A quick response from the chat room. Many of whom, surprisingly large number of whom, are using power line networking. Becky in Yorba Linda, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Becky.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
I'm thinking of switching to internet phone service, and I have a high use of the credit card machine in my business, and I'm concerned with whether the credit card machine will...
It probably will not work.
Okay. All right.
Credit card machines is my understanding. Now, unless you have maybe something more sophisticated, but most of them basically use modem technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that really doesn't work well in voice over internet solutions. Same thing. Same thing with fax machines. They just don't work well in that situation.
All right. Thank you so much.
Sorry. Bad news. Yeah. They do have now internet-based credit card machines. That would be a lot better. Anyway, for a variety of reasons. But yeah, don't recommend it over a VoIP solution. Patrick, Sullivan, Illinois. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo.
Hey, Patrick. How old are you, Patrick?
10.
10. Are you a geek?
Yeah.
Yes, you are. You can say it. It's okay. It's okay. You got to be proud. You got to admit it. Yes, I am a geek.
Yeah, so I built my own computer recently.
You're a geek. Hang on, Patrick. We got to take a break for the commercial. We'll be right back with you, all right?
All right.
Don't go anywhere. And I mean that in a nice way. You're not a bad geek. You're a good geek. I'm a geek. Leo Laporte, the geek guy. I'm 10. I built my own computer, but I am not a geek. Actually, he may not be. He may not be. Yeah, well, maybe he is. Be proud of it. No, I'm not a geek. You mean somebody who bites the head off chickens? No. There were no home. If I had built a computer when I was 10, then that would have been a feat. Who's that, Jeff? But you're only 15 now. Burn! I don't know if it's doing much good. Is it? Well, if I turn it off, you can feel it. I mean, it's not a lot, but it's a little bit. But I see now I look dark. And that's really dark. It was supposed to be... it was supposed to be... I think because of this beam, he couldn't put it where he wanted it. Oh, was Saint Chapelle good, Conehead? Oh, I'm so glad you went. Yeah, that's an amazing place. Oh, I got a real nail biter of a chess game going on here. I tell you, it's really, really exciting. The last game in the tournament. I need to win it to have a chance. I'm probably going to lose it. I played a very risky King's Gambit. I'll tell you.
All right, stamps.com billboard.
Thanks.
You spent the past week learning Greek. You're a geek. You're very well acquainted.
Nathan, now Nathan's playing the home version of our game. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Some debate in the chat room. Patrick's 10 years old, calling from Sullivan, Illinois. He's just built his own computer. Chat room thinks you might be a geek, but Patrick, well, you know, when you're among friends. When we say that, we think that's a good thing.
I'm in the chat room right now.
Are you defending yourself?
No.
I think when I say you're a geek, you know what I mean? I mean somebody who cares more about what's going on above the neck than below the waist. You're somebody who's you think you got passions and enthusiasms and you're using your brain. That's a good thing.
So I have a question about overclocking. I have my computer, it's an Asus Sabertooth Z77 motherboard, so it has the UEFI BIOS, so it's easier to use.
Yeah, I like that. That's
and
kind of the new
Sandy
thing.
Bridge.
Okay.
Yeah, a Sandy Bridge.
Yeah.
I-7.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I know
nice.
it's,
Are you doing this with your mom or your dad? I mean, is somebody else? Is there an adult around doing this, or you just know all this stuff?
well, I did have my friend's dad with me.
Yeah. But this is your money you're spending?
I got about 5 of the parts for presents.
Wow. That's so cool. So you like registered for computer parts?
Yeah.
I need a motherboard now. I need a CPU. And if Uncle Joe, if you want to give me a GPU, I could really use that. Wow. I'm impressed. So you must be a gamer. Are you a gamer, Patrick?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a gaming machine. I think it is with an i7 in it. Yeah.
I do have like a small YouTube channel.
You have your own YouTube channel. What's the name of your YouTube channel?
Two Friends MC.
Two Friends
MC Minecraft. The name, my friend made the channel, but then I thought like we could both do videos, but he never did anything.
Yeah, but you did.
The name, but the name's kind of stuck. I mean, it's catchy.
I think it's a great name, and doing Minecraft videos. This is very popular among your set, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But now wait a minute. Your last video said I'm leaving YouTube.
Yeah, that was an April Fool's joke.
Oh, you really are a geek.
Yeah, on YouTube and saw a bunch of them.
If you're doing April Fool's video posts on YouTube, I think you're right there, Patrick. I extend my hand in recognition and friendship. So what can I do to help you?
I'm just wondering basic stuff about overclocking. The processor, the Sandy Bridge i7 3770K,
yeah.
so I can overclock it.
So let me explain to the normal people listening what you're doing here. The way the chips work these days is, when you buy a chip, it's a certain speed, and usually measured in gigahertz, and that's the nominal rated speed. But because Intel and others bin sort their chips, often they could go at a faster speed. So what happens, they're making these chips, they test them, and they figure out what clock rate the chip can support reliably, and then they stamp that chip. They say that's a 1.6 gigahertz part, and they throw it in a bin. But what happens often is, we need more 1.6 gigahertz parts. I got a bunch of 1.8 gigahertz parts here. Go ahead, we'll sell them as 1.6 gigahertz. So often you can overclock, that is, run the chip faster than its nominal speed. In order to do this, you need to be able to change settings in the motherboard, and the motherboard you got can do that. Sometimes you'll bump the voltage a little bit too, because it might need a little extra juice to run at that higher clock speed. So that's the kind of, in a thumbnail, that's what you're doing, yeah. Sometimes you have to pay extra attention to cooling too, because when you start running a chip faster, it tends to get hotter.
Yeah, but my case came stock with 5 fans, so I think we're...
Yeah, well, you might be. You'll see. You'll find out. If it gets unreliable, it's probably because it's overheating.
Yeah, and the motherboard, if I want, I could open it back up and put in... The motherboard has fans that can cool the motherboard itself.
You might end up wanting that too, sure, if you run the motherboard at a faster clock speed. You know what also sometimes overclockers do, and this is people who have lots of money, and more money than sense... They will sometimes, more dollars than cents, will sometimes run water cooling or liquid cooling. Usually they don't use water anymore. They'll use a chemical that doesn't have conductive properties in case it leaks.
Which I may do that eventually, but I thought for my first build, that's a little hard. And overkill.
It's overkill, yeah. So all I can say, Patrick, is you're on the right track. There, of course, are many sites to support overclockers. Just Google overclocking, and you'll see quite a few of them. I probably don't have anything to teach you here. It sounds like you know a lot about this.
But I was wondering, like, it's already 3.50 gigahertz, but
What's the chip rated for?
3.50.
3.5, and you're running at how fast?
It's the stock 3.5.
Right. And but you want to go to what you'll find is really you can't go more than maybe 5 to 10% faster on most of these chips.
Yeah.
It's rare. You know, the golden days of overclocking go back to when I was, well, not quite 10, maybe 40, and maybe 50. And Intel made a chip that's called a Celeron. They've brought the name back, but not the chip. That was highly overclockable. You could get maybe 50 to 100% more speed out of it. And we had lots of fun doing that. But it's really more of a hobbyist thing to do because, after all, you're only going to get 5 to 10% improvement nowadays, and you probably won't really notice that on screen. Your frame rate's not going to go up that much on your games. I'll tell you the best place, and I hope you've found it by now, is overclock.net. This is a website dedicated to overclockers. And they have forums there, and so that's a much better place than asking me. I'm just an old man. What to do with your overclocking? So, is your friend's father? Is he really into this stuff?
Well, I mean, he co-owns a company, and
that's neat.
They do work with some medical,
It's nice. It's nice to have a mentor, somebody who knows this stuff and can kind of guide you in the right direction.
A lot of work, it's basically monitoring for elderly people or people that are
people over 20.
Really just people that may have that are just got out of the hospital.
By the way, by plugging your website, we've doubled your view numbers. By the way, so keep up the good work, Patrick. Stay in touch, would you? And in about 7 years, I got a job offer for you out here in California, in case you want to move. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I am not a geek. I have a YouTube channel, and I am overclocking. Thinking about water cooling. Nice to meet you, Patrick, in the chat room. I love it. I love it. So this is my game, but I am now. So this is the tournament, though. You see, we've got some. I am the kind of the third-ranked player, but I've beaten this guy 2 games. I split with Marlowe. No, I split with Glenn Walker, who's better than me. But Marlowe is a tough nut. He's won both his games, but he's also a slow player, so he's got 4 games unplayed. I have but 1, and I'm 3-2 right now. I'd like to be 4-2, and then I'd have a shot. The top 2 qualifiers go on to the next round. I'm in the second round, actually. Chess.com is good. It's a good place to play chess if you're interested. A lot of fun. Yeah, see, I wonder how much cheating's going on. You can usually tell if you're playing a human or a machine, but there's no way to know that somebody's not getting a little computer assist. I don't have my Ford Touch in the Mustang. I just have Ford Sync, but I've never had trouble with the iPhone and Ford Sync. All phones occasionally, the Bluetooth drops out and stuff, but all phones do that. I do want Google Fiber, Rob M, but it doesn't look like I'm moving to Austin anytime soon. I am going to Google I/O. We are trying to figure out how we're going to do the coverage at Google I/O at this point. Hey, welcome. Hi, guys. Good to see you. Are you from Australia?
How you doing? Thank you.
UK, sorry. I have headphones on. How you doing? Good to see you again. Have a seat, yeah. We're on the way to Vegas, sure. We're not going to NAB this year, although some of our engineers are going, but I'm staying home.
I watch your podcast every week. I love them. Do you? I sure do. Thank you.
What's your podcast? Oh, yeah. Yeah. So are you going to cover it? Yeah. Not live, though, or live? Both. Awesome.
A little bit of live. Everybody's doing live now, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't want to do it anymore. Everybody's doing live.
And the problem is with a live camera, people don't really tell you what you want to hear.
Really?
Yeah.
So you find that if you're recording it, you feel like they can.
Well, you chat to them first.
Yeah.
So if you do the setup for the concert.
Oh, you like that?
Something, yeah, just to see all the little things.
Yeah, that was.
Hey, there we are.
That was tricky.
How did they get on the screen like that? I don't understand. So we're not doing NAB coverage, but Studio Tech is studiotech.tv. They're here in the studio right now.
Go to nab.studiotech.tv.
That'll be all your coverage will be at nab.studiotech.
Is this coming week then?
Yeah.
We're leaving this afternoon.
Everybody's going.
Gotcha.
Everybody's going.
We had to go to wine country just to prep for it.
It's very important.
Yeah, you know.
And where in the UK are you guys located?
Down the south, Winchester.
Winchester.
Hampshire, yeah. Down near the south coast. I'm still in North Carolina. Yeah. So
You haven't moved.
We have two studios, one in the UK and one in Raleigh. One in
Raleigh.
My studio, and I started going through the old ones to figuring out should I get this, should I get that, running into audio video sync issues. I went and watched the videos on that one. It was really good stuff.
That won't stream at the top till tomorrow, but when people go to click tomorrow, we'll start putting video content up there. Nice.
Cool. Cool. Live feed starts tomorrow. Better you than me. nab.studiotech.tv. I'm sad, but it's just so expensive for us to do it. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars that we just decided it's not. I don't know if we gain as much as we lose by doing it. We should just do it like you do it. Just kind of go down there with cameras. What do you use for the live stream? The Wish? Video, yeah. Yeah, we looked at the Teradek, yeah. Oh, cool. No, I think the Teradek's cool. 6 of it's only one connection, right? Yeah, that's going to... Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Tony, Orange, California. You're next. Leo Laporte here. Hi, Tony.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. How you?
I'm good, buddy. Hey, I got a couple questions about, I was looking at a television that has web capability, and I'm concerned, do I need some type of virus protection? For web
What a good
TV?
question. I mean, everything that goes online can be hacked, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if anybody offers antivirus for TV. Most TVs that I know of that are that have internet capability or apps are based on Linux. They're based on a locked down firmware version of Linux, so it's highly unlikely that a bad guy is going to be able to get in there and modify data. And he needs to do that. So for a bad guy to hack any system, it's really simple. He's got to get a program to run on that system. Well, that means it needs to be have a writable file system that can be accessed via the internet. I think your TV's pretty much as safe as you can get.
Because you know what, I'm thinking about using it to go to my PC and then be able to do my work from home on my, on my big wide screen TV.
Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, so you'd be using the browser built into your smart TV. I mean, it must have some storage, but I think you'll note immediately that the browser is not. It ain't Chrome, baby. It's not. You can't add extensions. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. I think you're safe. I really do. I've yet to see a TV hacked. And the minute they do, well, there'll be somebody offering an antivirus for televisions. But at the moment, I don't believe there is one.
Okay, well, that was my curious.
I think you're safe.
I know you had answered this question before, but I've got a Samsung 3 cell phone, and am I safe with that as well?
Yeah, that's another question. In fact, I am amazed that cell phones are not hacked more often. I guess what probably is the case is that the manufacturers of these mobile devices realize that they are, targets, and have made them more resilient to attacks than the desktop operating systems. Windows was designed long before viruses even existed. Mac somewhat so too. So the operating systems, because of their legacy heritage, have been a little bit harder to lock down. But all these mobile operating systems, the guys who design them, and gals too, who design them, knew when they were designing them that they would be, great targets for attack. So presumably they done a better job of locking them down. In my opinion, Android is vulnerable, and we've seen attacks. But if you stick to stuff on the Play Store, you're probably all right. Having said that, I do install Lookout. It's free on my Android device. It doesn't seem to take up many CPU cycles. And what it does is every time you download a new app, it scans it. It probably is just comparing it to a database of known malware. But that's better than nothing. That's all I would do at this point, Terry. Keep your ears peeled, though, because that is a terrible phrase, isn't it? Keep your ears peeled. Well, it's better than keeping your eyes peeled, and I don't even know what that means. But keep your ears out for news of attacks on Android. But for right now, I think we're all right. I keep waiting,
Okay, again, I'm going to use it for the same application to be able to, go on and go to my PC and be able to work off my phone.
Right.
From my desktop. So.
Yeah, I mean, your Galaxy S3 is a pretty powerful computer. It's as powerful as your desktop of a few years ago. And in theory, because it's always on, always connected, and there are lots of ways bad guys could use it to make money, it's a target. But for some reason, probably because it's hard to attack, they haven't done so yet. Remember, bad guys are not stupid. Some of them are. A lot of them are. But for the most part, they go where it's easiest, where the pickings are easiest. And even though a cell phone would make a great place to get on, because they can send text messages to offshore sites which charge you $35 to receive the message. There's all sorts of ways they can make money off your smartphone. If it's just a little bit harder than Windows, they're going to attack Windows. And right now, I guess it is. We'll stay tuned. ESET, I should mention, ESET also offers a mobile security product as well. All of these are fairly simple. They can't, you're in a constrained environment on a mobile platform, so they can't take over much memory or much CPU cycles. They can't run in the background all the time. Having said that, keep your eyes and ears peeled. Doesn't sound pleasant, but it's a good idea. Art in Scottsdale, Arizona, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
I'm great. How are you?
Okay, I'm fine. What I'm looking for, and I'm sure somebody must make this, a device that will take, say, the audio output from a DVD player, send that to a transmitter, which I can then receive on a set of Bluetooth headphones.
You want a wireless audio?
Yeah, I want to receive the output from my sound system or my
I see what you're saying. You're going to use Bluetooth to create a wireless sound system.
Right.
Yeah.
But just for headphones, like say if I want to watch a movie on DVD, I want to have the Bluetooth headphones on.
Right. More and more, I'm starting to see more and more interest in wireless headphones. In fact, I've had some for a long time that use infrared. The problem is you turn your head, the sound goes away. So Bluetooth would be better. And
I've had bad luck with RF headphones.
Yeah. Bluetooth
seems to work pretty well, but somebody must make a device that will transmit that signal.
Right. That's what you need is a Bluetooth dongle. Now, I've tried some that did not work well at all.
Okay.
I bought something on Amazon for $25 that I got it for. It had a 30-pin connector, so I got it for an iPod dock. The idea being maybe take but it didn't work well.
I got my satellite provider. They have a built-in. Well, the Hopper has that built in, and it works.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
But that doesn't help me watching a DVD player or nothing,
Right. So the real thing is we need some sort of wireless transmitter or wireless adapter that we can attach to the. Is it the television that you want to do?
Yeah, the DVD player.
The DVD, so it attached to the output.
Your red and white audio out jack
Yeah.
to take that signal and transmit it to Bluetooth.
Doesn't seem like that'd be that complicated.
No, I just can't. Everything I seem to find is, there was one like you talked about that you got, but the review said it
was crappy.
Really wasn't very good.
Yeah.
So, but you'd think in this day and age, someone would make something like that.
Now, there is one potential issue Euchre's raising in the chat room is battery life on Bluetooth. It might, but you're not going to watch TV for more than a few hours at a time, right?
Well, no, my headphones, they say they got about 10 hours, and I found that to be pretty much the case.
All right. Well, that's pretty good.
Which is good, but you would think that someone would make something like that. And
does anybody in the chat room have any experience with any of these? because that's what I like. And of course, you're going to want one that has A2DP, and this is important because there are two different Bluetooth audio profiles. There's the headset profile, which you'd use for a phone, but it's very low quality audio. A2DP is stereo, will work with your headphones. So that's the first thing to look for is an A2DP television adapter.
That must be kind of along the lines of what Dish uses then, because its sound quality is pretty darn good.
Yeah, no, that's what they're using for sure.
So you think that there must be something out, but I thought if anybody would know, you would know. So
well, I want to buy one, and somebody's saying we see a number of these. The chat room says there's a number of these, but the problem is I don't see anybody who's tried them. So we want an A2DP Bluetooth transmitter that has audio left and right in, analog audio in. I mean, I see a number of them on Amazon. I guess I just have to go out and buy them and let you know, because we'll keep watching the chat room, though, Art. Thanks for calling. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, JK Audio is a good company. They might play. Let's just see what they've got. So we'll give that's an assignment for you guys to look for at NAB.
When we built the Tech Guy Labs, we chose to do as much.
Studio Tech, find me Bluetooth television transmitters.
And I didn't want a big old PBX system in the basement. That's what Russell, my
products.
IT guy, said.
Products by application. Radio, telecom, TV, film.
I'm glad I listened to Russell. We love Ring Central. Zero startup
Let's
costs.
see. TV, film, computer, telecom. Maybe it's a telecom application. Voiceovers, wireless, intercom link. I use their hybrids.
In fact, I spent an hour at Heathrow Airport looking at exactly the same thing. It was just too confusing to make a decision.
Yeah, well, I bought one, and it was very disappointing. So, but we got to keep looking. Got to keep looking here. So this is a Bluetooth A2DP stereo audio transmitter with a 3.5 millimeter jack. So if you got, I mean, I don't know why that wouldn't work. Except it might be crappy. Here's one. Let's look at this one. This is more expensive. What's the back of it? Yeah, see, that has analog in. It's the Micah's Home RTX long-range Bluetooth music transmitter or receiver. Oh. I can't quite understand what this does. Transmitter or receiver. It could do anything. Just plug it in. I'm sure it'll work. It's got an antenna. So what more could you ask for? There's two of them. Here's one of them on top of her stereo. Here's one on top of an audio engine speaker. So that's a powered speaker. So this is being used as a receiver. But it says it's a receiver or a transmitter. Enjoy audio from your Bluetooth devices, right? Transmitter, receive wireless. Connect your existing speakers and home stereo equipment. Reconnect your devices. I can't tell if it's a transmitter. It says it'll transmit. In transmit mode, your existing audio sources, are transmitted via Bluetooth wireless to any compatible headphones. So this is it. It's sleek black matte. So the problem is I just haven't tried any. I mean, this will definitely do what he wants to do. Don't know. Don't know. There's quite a few. This is Amazon. I mean, here's a dongle transmitter. A lot of these have mini jacks. That's the 30-pin one. That's probably the one I bought. Here, Jabra makes one. No, that's in cart. This one? Well, see, latency is a big issue. Yeah, see that? I didn't even think of that. If you're just listening to music, who cares? So we got to mention that. So latency. Right, if the lip sync's off, then it's not going to... Right. You don't want to have echo. Yeah. These are not just similar to, but exactly like AKG K240 Studios. They're made in Austria, so you know they're good. The Austrians make great stuff. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. There's a number of, and thanks to the chat room for pointing these out, a number of devices that will transmit Bluetooth to Bluetooth headsets. Here's the issue. And I want to thank the guys from the Studio Tech podcast who are here in studio with me today as they head down to Vegas for the National Association of Broadcasters show, which I'll be covering live, studiotech.tv. Latency. So it's one thing to have a Bluetooth audio transmitter because it's just audio, so no problem. If there's a little delay, big deal. The music came in delayed. But if you're watching TV and the audio's coming through a Bluetooth channel and the lip sync doesn't match up, you're not going to be happy. And I would bet most of these devices that we found have no way of adjusting the delay to make it synchronize the lip sync. If you have a receiver, most AV receivers have this capability, and you could pull the audio off the receiver, then the AV receiver can be set to add some delay to the audio, or I guess you'd have to delay the TV, wouldn't you? That's the problem. In any event, I can find a lot of these. The problem is I can't tell you what the latency would be like and whether it would work. The one that looked kind of cool was the Micus, M-I-C-C-U-S Home RTX. It's on Amazon for about $60. It will absolutely transmit from your TV using that red and white plugs in the back that you talked about to a Bluetooth headset. But the problem is that I bet you anything, if there's a 50 millisecond to a 100 millisecond delay, it's going to look kind of funny. Lip sync is going to be a problem. The Hopper's, I'm sure, are adding some delay to make that work. That's why the Hopper has it built in. Back to the phones we go. Bill in Sherman Oaks, California. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm good. You have a question about ESET?
Well, not only that, I use all the big three that you advertise, DSL Extreme for internet, Carbonite for offsite backup, and ESET for internet security.
Well, thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. Good man.
Great products.
And I appreciate the sponsors, too, and I appreciate your patronizing them and them patronizing us, because that's why we can give this show away for free and offer the website for free and all of that. They foot the bill, so thank you. It works all around.
Great. They're great products. Well, listen, I'm running a Dell Precision M6500 with an Intel Core i7.
Okay.
And it has two hard drives, a C and a D drive, and they're electronic drives. I also had a Seagate for my backup, Seagate replica for my on-site backup in Carbonite.
Good man. Boy, you know what you're doing. I'm glad to hear all of that. That's great.
Well, I'm just trying to be safe.
Yeah, good man.
But what I want to do, because I experienced a problem with my previous computer, I could back up the data files. I just don't know how to back up the application files. Like I have Adobe PDF. I have
Generally speaking, we don't back those up. So because it's almost always better to install fresh. There is an exception, though. So here's how I back up, and I would encourage you to do so. Back up the stuff that you made, the data that you created that there's no other copy of. That's the most important thing to back up. Your documents, your files, your emails, those kinds of things. You can always download another copy of Adobe Reader. And by the way, you probably will want to, because
I have the full application, Adobe Professional.
Well, back up your serial number. In almost every case, these companies will let you download the software and reinstall as long as you have an active serial number. It's certainly true for Adobe Distiller. Yeah, or save the disks. If you installed from disks, save those disks. The only time I back up applications is when I do an image backup, and I think this is a very good thing to do. So image backup.
has mirror image.
Yeah.
I chose the mirror image.
All right. Well, then you're backing up apps. The reason I don't generally recommend that with Carbonite is because you're going to be sending a lot of data up. And depending on how fast your internet access is, it could take a very long time to get a full backup set. Generally, the way I prefer to do it is with Carbonite is only back up personal stuff. You want the backup to be as small as possible so that you can keep it up to date. If it's too big, your internet access is going to gate how much can be sent at any given time. Remember, your upstream bandwidth is not as high as your downstream bandwidth, and it's the upstream we're talking about here.
Right. Well, the thing is also, I had my nephew visit me, and right after he left, I did my normal computer scan backup, and sure enough, there were no infiltrations before I let him use it. Now there are infiltrations.
Yeah, anytime a teenager uses a computer, bad news. I always get chills. When my girlfriend's 11-year-old hits the computer, I go, oh, please. Oh, please. I found the Ask toolbar installed the other day. I thought, this is not good. So here's my recommendation. And this is what I do, and I highly recommend it. There's image backup software. Don't use online image backup software. Use easeus.com is free. DriveSnapshot.de is an excellent one. Drive Imager. There's a lot of ways to make what's called an image copy. That is, on the Mac side, by the way, I recommend Super Duper. That is a copy of the hard drive as if it's kind of freeze-dried, just everything. Now, that's operating system, apps, everything. But I would only do that when you have a kind of a known good system. And this will help when your nephew visits. So the way I do it is the first time I install Windows or get a new computer, I make an image of the computer as it came from the factory. You probably already have one. That's the system recovery disks. Then I update it, install the apps I know I'm going to want, no extra stuff. You want a lean machine, but install the stuff I know I'm going to have. And I make an image of that. That's useful because that's my kind of reinstall after the nephew comes and messes with the computer. I can do that, and it's back to normal. That doesn't back up your data, just your install, including all your apps. Now you can continue to back up with Carbonite and any other solution you use, back up your data. And should something bad happen, you restore from the base install. You do the updates because there probably has been some time between when you made that image copy, and then use Carbonite to get the data back. To me, that's the better way to do it. So if you want to have a quick restore, it's not a bad idea periodically to update, to refresh that image disk, go back, roll back in time to your base install, do all the updates, add any new applications that you've decided I have to have, or update your antivirus, all of that stuff, make a new image, and that will be your system restore image. So it's kind of like keeping an up-to-date system restore available at all times. Very handy when the nephew visits. 8888, ask Leo. That was the number, but we're over. So remember that for next time. Have a great Geek Week. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.